Hey everyone, welcome back to How to Train Your Gavin. I am doing another One Piece video today, and I am going to be reading for the very first time the first half of the Dressrosa arc. I know this will probably get confusing for anybody who wants to leave comments, which I honestly do encourage and support, because obviously I don't want spoilers for the second part of Dressrosa. So I'm covering the first 51 chapters of Dressrosa, so that's chapters 700 through to 750, and that's volume 70 through to 75. So please do leave all the comments down below, but be mindful that chapter 750 is where I'm ending this video, and then I will cover part 2 in a future video in the next couple of weeks. Please do leave a like if you enjoy this video and subscribe if you haven't already for more One Piece, and let's get straight into the first part of the Dressrosa arc. I need to thank Deathly Muffins again for sending me a pronunciation guide for Dressrosa, and also to clarify that because I was saying the samurai and his son's name wrong in the previous arc video, they're pronounced Momonosuke and Kinemon. Oh, I always feel so great when I get a pronunciation right, or like if I learn something new like that. It just makes me so happy. Can we take a second to appreciate the fact that I've made it to chapter 700? 700, what an incredible milestone. Okay, let's go through this chapter, his momentum. So the first thing of note, and I don't mention everything possible that happens in a chapter, so if you watch one of my videos and I don't mention something, it's usually because I didn't think I had something to say about it, or I didn't find it that important to talk about. But if you do think I've missed out something important, then let me know down in the comments and I will chat and talk about it. Because I just think if I try to mention absolutely everything, it would probably be a bit too much. But we do have Captain Kidd, who's talking about the alliance between Straw Hat Luffy and Trafalgar Law, and he says about them going after one of the 4 emperors, which we know now is Kaido. So yeah, which one of the 4 emperors is Kidd and his alliance after? Is it the same person? Are they after the same person? Is it someone else? Is it maybe Shanks? That would worry me more, so that's probably what it is. I think out of the 4 emperors, I think Shanks is the one that I am the most concerned about. At first, I thought we were getting a flashback to the end of Punk Hazard when Doflamingo is on the phone, and he is, well, sorry, on the transponder snail, and he's talking to Luffy and the crew. And I thought that was at the end of the previous arc, but no, it wasn't. But it's the way that Luffy responds, and he picks up the phone, the snail, and says, "Hello, this is Monkey D. Luffy speaking, future king of the pirates." Because that was a repeat of what he does. I think that's just what Luffy does every single time he talks to someone. He just announces himself as the future king of the pirates. And I mentioned how funny that was in the previous video. And I love that this is kind of his motto now whenever he talks to somebody over a transponder snail. Like, that is the greeting that you will get if you call the Thousand Sunny. Although actually I think he's using Trafalgar Law's transponder snail, and it's connected to the Doflamingo transponder snail. Both the transponder snails look so cool, by the way. I don't usually talk about transponder snail designs, but I love the fact that Trafalgar Law's has a sort of Trafalgar Law hat on it, and Doflamingo has those kind of like evil, creepy eyes. Also, I want to correct myself. It isn't Doflamingo's eyes, these. I thought these were his eyes, but no, obviously they're glasses. But I didn't pick up on that for some reason. I thought they were just genuinely his eyes. And who knows, maybe his eyes do look like that under those glasses. So the plan is, get to Dressrosa. They're going to use the whole giving Caesar back to Doflamingo as a decoy so that they can go and destroy the Smile Factory. So that's the plan, and it does sound like a really good plan. It's obviously not going to go well. And first and foremost, they don't even know where this factory is. So I'm really excited to find out what Dressrosa looks like, because every single time we go somewhere, the setting is just completely different to everything I've seen before. And apparently this place is the land of love and passion. So I think that's going to be interesting, considering I don't find love and passion, or at least like romantic love, to be a main important factor in One Piece in general. It is parts of characters like Sanji, for instance, but I never see that romantic love in here that much or at all. And it's something that I do want to keep away from One Piece. I don't really love romance subplots, but maybe love and passion, you know, there are so many facets to those words, and we can just be exploring those different themes in terms of like different kinds of love, like friendly love, or, you know, parental love, sibling love, you know, maybe stuff like that. And passion, this, you know, passion for adventure, passion for, which actually I was talking to my channel members, my One Piece channel members, a couple of nights ago. I do them pretty much bi-weekly at this point. point, and we do have a live show. Usually I try and keep it to an hour, but it always ends up lasting like 2.5 to 3 hours. And we were talking about ships and love and romance. And it's so interesting that we were talking about that when we have Luffy on the phone here, and Doflamingo is telling him that he has something that Luffy wants, and Luffy's like, to tell me more, what kind of meat is it? How good does it taste? 1 juicy meat, 2 juicy meats? And you have Luffy's face with those big hard eyes, like what we get when Sanji has fallen in love with someone, for instance. But Luffy just wants the meat. Luffy just wants to meet, like, that's his main love. So maybe in this arc we will explore that kind of love, and like Luffy's love for food and Luffy's love for adventure as well, because all he's hearing right now is this is going to be an adventure, this is going to be awesome. Yeah, they have no idea where the factory is. In that case, we can think it over when we get there. Hee, I smell an adventure, can't wait to get Dressrosa, and I want to see Wano soon. A place called Zo, and that is somewhere where I need to go. I can't remember if that was mentioned in the previous arc or not. I do remember there was a lot of reference to Wano, but not Zo. So Dressrosa, Zo, Whole Cake Island, and Wano. I know those are all places that we need to get to. I know their future arc titles. Don't worry, I don't consider arc title spoilers. Also, Buggy is a warlord of the sea. The genius jester Buggy. I mean, is he? He does the most accidental things of any kind of antagonist we've ever had. And at the minute, I don't see him that much of an antagonist. But I'm grateful for the rundown of the warlords, because after the time skip, yeah, I was like, well, who are the warlords anymore? It's like not Crocodile or Gecko Moria. You know, those kinds of people I didn't see, or I didn't think they were warlords any longer, so I was a bit confused about who would be warlords again. And then I knew Law was a warlord of the sea from the previous arc. Mihawk, Doflamingo, Kuma, Hancock, Law, Buggy, and then he says, plus the man I previously described to you makes 7. Who is the 7th? Who is the 7th warlord of the sea? But now Doflamingo has also quit, so now that's, 5 warlords of the sea, so they've got 2 positions that, well, one needs filled. One of them has already been filled, I think. It better not be Blackbeard. Oh my god, it better not be Blackbeard. Did he get made into a warlord, but after the Marineford arc, after like the war, the Summit War, or the Paramount War, did he get demoted after that? I can't remember now, actually. I'm so excited for my reread. Oh, it'll be happening soon. And then the other shocking thing that really shocked me was the fact that Doflamingo has Ace's Devil Fruit. I remember, I don't think I even mentioned this in the previous arc video, and you know how I said before, sometimes I don't mention things if I don't think they're important. Sometimes those things do come back and they're important. So I did notice that, I think it was after the death of, was it Slime? Before it got made into Smiley? That slime thing had like perished, and I saw like, I think it was like some kind of apple, and it transformed into a devil fruit. I mean, I might have mentioned it, but I don't think I understood what had actually happened or the importance of it at that point. But yeah, whenever someone dies, the devil fruit reappears, I believe, is what happens. So after Ace died, his devil fruit, his flame fruit, materialized, and now Doflamingo has it because he thinks Luffy will absolutely want to have this. And like, absolutely, he will. I think he would, because yeah, that did belong to Ace. That was Ace's powers. And I'm just like, how dare you? How did he even get this? I don't know what Luffy would do with it, but I guess it's just the importance of the fact that it did belong to Ace. And I am also loving the fact that even though Ace is gone, I still feel a lot of his influence, and he does seem to be quite important to the story. Like, I feel like we haven't forgotten about him, which I'm so glad about, because he was gone before his time. I still miss him and love him so much. I did start volume 71. I finished volume 70 in the previous chapter. Why does Frankie look like a Swedish milkmaid? Like, is that his disguise? Like, he has these plaits that he's put in his hair, and I do love it because his design, like his, I guess, overall look just changes so often. Like, he'll have some crazy hairstyle and it'll look cool half the time. But yeah, the whole Swedish milkmaid look, I'm into it. Kinemon as well is definitely, like, I think, one of the most perverted. And he has this sort of diagram of how women wear things in Dressrosa and how women wear things in Dressrosa. And he has women wear nothing, as if that is actually going to work. But it's how serious his face is. Like, I wouldn't expect this kind of behavior from a samurai, and it makes me wonder what the rest of them are going to be like at Wano. But I'm always glad that Nami's there to put them in their place, essentially. It's one of the reasons why I love her so much. But yeah, Law gave Nami the Viva card that will point to the island of Zo. So yeah, you guys were saying as well in the last video that I need to get used to, and I am used to it. I just don't love it all the time when the Straw Hats split up every single time they get somewhere, even though I know that is what they have to do in order for the plot to progress, for the different story threads to progress. It's all super important that they do split up. So we do have the Caesar delivery team, which is Caesar, Robin, Law, and Usopp. And then we have the Thousand Sunny God team, which is Chopper, Brook, Nami, and Momonosuke. And then we have Kinemon, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Frankie, who have went into Dressrosa. Has anybody ever seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? And I don't know why, but I got like some Chitty Chitty Bang Bang vibes from this, because we have these toys that seem to be real, like they're living and breathing, naturally coexisting with people throughout the city. I love that. I love that so, so much. Toys that are real? What? Like, that is like incredible, because I love that idea. Especially in the previous arc, we had this emphasis on children, and we had children being incorporated into the main themes and plot of Punk Hazard. And here we have toys, and toys are mainly associated with children. Saying that, I am a grown-ass man and I don't mind playing with toys every now and then still. But I guess there was some kind of theme or callback to childhood. Maybe a callback to innocence and the things that we might have lost since our childhoods. I love the toys though. Like, they also look kind of scary in a way too. Like, I mean, he is a little bit scary, let's be honest, because toys can be creepy. So how are these toys alive? How are they real? How are they functioning? How are they going about their day? What's behind this? Like, I'm so intrigued by these living, breathing toys. Like, it's just so cool. Even their faces are like shocked and they're like, wait, what? I don't know if this is going to be important to note, but apparently the scorned women of Dressrosa love to stab people when they've been scorned, like when their lover has like cheated or anything. Apparently jealousy leads them to stab people. In fact, the prettier they are, the more stabby they get. So maybe something to do with that will come up later on too. I will keep an eye on that. I'll keep an eye to see if anyone's like going around stabbing people, because that is really fucked up. I do love the disguises of the characters who've gone in. Really all they've got are just like beards. They put beards on and they've got glasses on, and that is like the bog standard kind of disguise you could come up with, especially when you're as famous a pirate as Luffy and his crew are at this point. It's like, are these disguises really going to do anything? You know? Final thing I will know about this chapter as well is that we have this sort of gambling thing happening at the end where a blind guy is playing against, I don't know any of their names yet, they weren't mentioned, but there is this guy with this like mask thing on, and again, I don't know who he is, but this blind guy is playing whatever game this is. I don't really know gambling games. But the guy in the mask keeps lying to the blind man in telling him he's losing. But then Luffy speaks up at the end, because obviously Luffy, he just says what's on his mind. He just tells it how it is, which is exactly what he says. I just called it like I saw it. And he tells the blind man that he has won. And the guy in the mask is not happy about that. But the blind man apparently has these incredible powers. I don't really know what power that is, but there's this big huge hole, and he said he's going to send them all to hell. So like, does he have some kind of hell dimension, devil fruit thing, where he can create a hole in the floor that sends people cascading down to the center of the earth? Like, is that his kind of power maybe? I'll find out soon, I'm sure. But I love what he says at the end. He says, not having sight is a blessing. The world of men is full of filthy things not worth laying eyes upon. And I feel like that is going to tie in beautifully with Doflamingo and the atrocities that he commits and his whole operation. He is the center of so much, I guess, like black market kind of stuff that's happening in the world of One Piece, and he's behind a lot of things. He is sort of the, what do you call it, like the string master of like toys. It feels to me as if like Doflamingo is the one orchestrating everything, because, you know, he is, well, he was the ruler of Dressrosa, he was a warlord, and he is the ringmaster of so many operations, like really bad deals in the One Piece world. So really he is pulling the strings on everything. So that is also a beautiful metaphor into the living, breathing toys of this world, but also he is committing these awful atrocities that, yeah, this guy at the end, the world of men is full of filthy things not worth laying eyes upon. Totally agree. Totally agree. Funny that we're 3 chapters in and it's already heated right up, because now Luffy has seen what it is that Doflamingo was talking about on the transponder snail, Ace's devil fruit, and we have this Colosseum where it seems like a lot of people are going to be fighting for this devil fruit, this forbidden devil fruit. I love the fact that there is a Colosseum though, because I do love things from ancient Rome. You know, when you heard stories about the gladiator fights and stuff that were happening in these Colosseums, or games essentially. So Not only do we have these big toys, these living, breathing toys, but we have these games. Is this whole theme of like childhood, games, toys, and things like that, is that going to be important to the overall story of Dressrosa? The Colosseum is bustling. Even the blind guy from before is there too, watching. And I still don't know that guy's name, the one who was scamming the blind guy with the mask thing. I still don't know his name yet. But he has no idea what's going on with the whole smile stuff. It seems like a lot of Doflamingos people don't know. So it really must be some kind of closed group or like operation that even Doflamingo doesn't want too many people to know about. He does have trust issues. If you are trying to protect something of that magnitude, then yeah, you wouldn't want just anybody to know about it. And even before that as well, when the blind guy leaves the bar place where the Straw Hats were, or at least like some of the Straw Hats even, where they were, it seems like, well, they say fairies or something, like fairies had stolen something from everyone in this place. I'm just like, is that real? Like, is that true? Because one of Zoro's swords is gone. The treasure of Wano, the one that Kinemon also wants, that's also gone missing. So like, it was either the blind guy, he's actually like a really great pickpocket, which I kind of don't really believe, or these fairies, or something else. I just don't know if it is fairies. Like, is it fairies? Invisible fairies have protected Dressrosa since the long distant past. When they get into mischief, there's no choice but to turn a blind eye. So also there's a lot of not seeing things, and sometimes choosing not to see things in this arc too. There's probably going to be some important messages about choosing not to see things happen, and whether or not you act upon that. So I imagine that's going to be an important message later on. Hi Ash, do you want to come up and say hello? Hello, beautiful. Are you wanting me to play with you instead of me reading One Piece? Can I just finish this volume and then I'll play with you, okay? Kinemon says, one day I will duel you, and Zoro says, fine, I'll defend my right to own it. So I'm going to try and remember that, because part of me is now thinking that when we do finally get to Wano, so I guess it means that maybe Kinemon will be part of our crew, part of our team, until then, at least. And Zoro will end up fighting him at some point. I sense a battle between them. I think that's coming, so I'll try and remember that. But yes, introduced to lots of different people there. Loved seeing my husband Ace, even if it was just for one brief panel. So yeah, I'm really surprised that it does seem like Ace is a pretty important factor to the Dressrosa arc so far. Lucy. Promise me one thing, don't reveal who you are. And then the person signing him in is like, name please. And he instantly goes, Lu. And then the next panel is just Luffy walking away with Lucy written on the back. Oh my god. One of my favourite things of all time. I need to write this down. I need to write this down because I kind of want to make a video at some point of like my funniest moments in One Piece ever. Anyway, sorry, that just like really tickled me. It was so funny. For some reason, I was picturing just a whole bunch of people in the Colosseum fighting it out, and then whoever was the last one standing would get the Devil Fruit. But it seems like we do have that champion from before. What was his name again? Mr. Diamante. Hero and champion of the Colosseum. Luffy's 556, or should I say Lucy, is 556. So I think they get called in one by one to fight the Master of the Colosseum. And then if anyone defeats the Master of the Colosseum, then the rest of them will fight that person and so on. I think that's how that's working. It does feel very Spartacus, which we do have someone who is called Spartan. And a lot of them do underestimate Lucy because he looks like an old man. But Luffy, obviously, after the 2 years, he's trained so much. He can use Haki, and he's just instantly like taking someone out essentially. So it'll be really interesting to see how he fares in the Colosseum. I love stuff like that because it also reminds me a little bit of, and this is so random, but Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. When I used to play the game on the PlayStation, I think, and there was like the whole Colosseum section of that game. So random, but that is how I picture that. And also I used to love the TV show Spartacus back in the day. So I just like love the whole vibe of this place. The whole setting of it. And actually, I'm kind of interested a little bit in Sanji's storyline in this too, because he does come across a dancer called Violet, and she needs to hide from these policemen who are out for her, and she kind of uses Sanji in order to kind of get away, and she says, hurry, embrace me. And you know what, actually, part of me does really want Sanji to find love. I really do. I want him to find somebody who he can really fall in love with and become his girlfriend, because I feel like Sanji is going to be a fiercely loyal boyfriend, and I think that will really calm down his personality when it comes to the pervy side of him. But I do love the fact that we have this dancer called Violet who is willingly embroiled herself with Sanji at this minute. But also, I kind of have no idea where this is going to go because she's also running away because she stabbed someone. And then she tells Sanji that she wants him to kill a man for her. So it does seem like maybe Sanji is going to get used here because you know how Sanji is, and I do think that she is easily going to be able to manipulate his feelings. And I am really glad that he has had that moment where somebody has actually kissed him. I obviously have my problems with Sanji, don't get me wrong, I do have my problems with him, but I feel like hopefully this arc will, I don't know, because this is an arc about love and passion, I think at least that's what Dressrosa represents, love and passion. This could really work in Sanji's favour. It just depends on how Oda writes this storyline from here on out, because it could go one or two ways. Zoro's also by himself now as well. Oh my god, he's gonna get lost. He's trying to find that sword, but I don't think he's going to find it easily. I'm excited to read Lucy's adventures. My new favourite character. Hold the phone? Or should I say hold the transponder snail? Yo, Bellamy. We got a brief look at Bellamy there. He is still kicking. He's still around. What the hell is he doing in the Colosseum? Come on, it's Bellamy. Unless he's had a serious change of character since we saw him in Jaya. Because, remember, Luffy took him down in one punch. So I hope, one, Bellamy got stronger, and two, he got a dream. And I guess trying to get this flame fruit counts as a dream. Although it does depend on what his motives are too. Because it seems like so many different people are after the flame fruit for many different reasons. And I loved learning about some new characters in this, especially Cavendish and Rebecca. Both of them seem quite different. And I think both of them will have something different to offer in terms of what the new characters can bring to the story. Especially Rebecca. I feel like Rebecca is really well designed. She just seems like she's going to be one hell of a warrior and one hell of a character too. We learned about Kairos as well. Never lost a fight. Although he seems to be more of a sort of myth now. I'm actually glad by the system that's in place of how we're approaching the fights in the Colosseum. So they're going in blocks. And there's going to be one winner from each block, which means we do have, I think they said like 550 competitors, and that's going to be whittled down to 4. So it's going to be like really super intense. And oh my god, the winner of the first division, Jesus Burgess, from the Blackbeard Pirates. We cannot allow this man to get this devil fruit and take it back to Blackbeard, because no doubt that is exactly what the plan is here. He already got Whitebeard's devil fruit. He has Whitebeard's powers. And Blackbeard has his own darkness powers as well. There is just no way on earth we can allow this to happen. So we have blocks A, B, C, and D. Luffy's in C, Rebecca's in D. So I'm glad they don't have to fight just yet. It does seem like Rebecca wants to fight Doflamingo herself. So if anybody's going to get this devil fruit, I would want it to be her. And even Luffy before a few chapters back, I don't know why I didn't mention this, but Luffy offered it to Frankie. And he was like, please, I don't want anyone else to have Ace's devil fruit. I want somebody who is a good person to have it. But Frankie doesn't want it. So if anyone's going to get it at the minute, it does seem like Rebecca will probably be the best person, because she says that she wants to take down Doflamingo. I mean, she could be lying right now, but I don't think she is. I don't know why, but I feel like I can trust her for now. So the blind man is a Vice Admiral Fujitora? We got that name as well before. Was it the first? No, it wouldn't have been the first chapter we read. I've definitely seen that name before. I should have made a mental note of it. Oh, I'm such a fool. Yeah, Naval Headquarters. He says, we'll sit back and watch for a full day. I brought Fujitora on the case. We have someone say, I'm not having Law or Straw Hat get into any funny business under my nose. I already had Smoker down and J-Fire screeching my ear off in his report yesterday. We'll sit back and watch for a full day. I got Fujitora on the case. So Fujitora is there with a purpose from the Naval Headquarters to do with Luffy and Law. So when Luffy ran into him and helped him, I don't think Fujitora knew it was Luffy. Obviously you can't see him, but maybe there was like something about the way Luffy talked that maybe he would have picked up on it. He does seem quite smart and quite a fighter too. I love the way that kind of happened and we got introduced to him in that way, because I had no idea who he was to begin with. Just that name drop, and it kind of stuck in my head, but I just wasn't sure the context of it and what that actually meant. But yeah, it actually turned out to be the blind guy from before. I love that slow introduction to it. Oh my gosh, right. So I think we got the return of the CP people. The Cypherpol, the intelligence agencies, but CP0. CP0. So we had CP9 in Water 7 Ennius Lobby. And now we have CP0. And I don't know what this means for our Straw Hats, what this means for Robin. Robin is sweating because obviously that does bring up some past memories of like CP9 and her specifically. But I was not expecting to see any CP people again since Enies Lobby, so that took me by surprise. I'm glad she's with Law and Usopp, but more specifically Law. The plot is definitely thickening. Zoro is off doing his thing trying to find the sword. Sanji is with Violet still. But on the Thousand Sunny itself, Nami and Chopper are looking after Momonosuke, and I guess so is Brook, but he's not really in the same way as Nami and Chopper because they seem so parental. They seem like they're doing such a good job with him, especially since Chopper has to tell Brook that without his dad, he looks really depressed. So me and Nami are like serving him kind of thing, like we're playing his game. So they're being ordered around by him and they're just going along with it just to keep him happy. And then Brook does end up joining in, even though he does say, I want to take orders from Luffy. Chopper does hit him, and then Brook does provide the entertainment, which is awesome. But then somebody is on the Thousand Sunny that they don't know who it is, and it's coming from the men's bedroom apparently. Oh dear me, this won't do at all. Oh dear. Like what? Who is this? Who is this? We have another mystery on our hands. I'm really excited by this whole Battle Royale storyline that we have in this arc. It adds a little bit more to it, and it has made it so different already from previous arcs. And I did say Bellamy before, I was absolutely right. He has showed himself even more in this chapter, and even told Luffy, I know who you are. I'll remember the guy who derailed my career. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he has actually changed, and if he can fight. And he does want a place on Doflamingo's ship. He wants to be part of his crew. He's always looked up to Doflamingo, which worries me, honestly, because when you have a sort of war criminal like Doflamingo, the fact that there are people who look up to him and agree with what he does, it makes me feel sick. So obviously, like, Bellamy is like a really bad person because people like that exist in this world, you know, and it's scary. It's such a scary thought to have followers like that who turn a blind eye to the atrocities, or like they don't care about it and they probably agree with it or endorse it, which is the most frightening thing of all. Bellamy also said that he also went to Skypiea and he lost all of his people. I don't know if we'll get more on that, but that was a really bizarre way of him telling that because it just seemed like he didn't even care. You know, like he didn't even care about his own people getting lost, or like I don't know if they died or if they just got KO'd or whatever. I don't know. Depends on who Oda wants to kill at the end of the day, because he only seems to kill the one that mattered to me the most. I didn't mention Bartolomeo before. He has been mentioned a couple of times before, and we got like this big panel of him, and he sounds awful. He really does sound awful. He even throws a sort of bomb into the stadium where all of the spectators are, and he calls them scum. It's just, he is atrocious and inhumane. There are some scary pirates out there. It's these kinds of pirates where I'm kind of rooting for the Navy and the government to lock them up. But then there are pirates like Luffy and Law who I root for. So it's honestly such a mix, isn't it, between like the government. I root for some of them, I don't root for some of them. Like say, I kind of root for Smoker and Tashigi, but I definitely do not root for Sakazuki, for instance. And then we have Luffy, who I root for, but then I don't root for Bartolomeo. So the politics of the world is always interesting to explore when you break it down into the individuals who make up, whether it's the government or the pirates. You just, it's just interesting to spectate on. But I do love that we got this whole C block, D block, and B block kind of who's in each block, who is like the most important to the story, to us, so we can kind of get a sense of who to root for. It's a shame that both Cavendish and Rebecca are in D block, so that means they will have to fight one another and only one of them will come out victorious, because I wanted to learn a bit more about both. If I'm going to put my money on anyone, okay, let's put my money on the blocks. I think Lucy, I think will win C block, because like there's just no other option really. It's Lucy. D block, I think Rebecca will win. I do. I mean, as much as I do want to know more about Cavendish, I do think Rebecca is possibly the one out of those who I'm most intrigued in. I'm intrigued in Mummy as well, because I love things to do with Egypt and stuff like that. So having one called Mummy, Sorcerer Mummy, oof, please tell me we get to an island that is a little bit like ancient Egypt. A bit like this is sort of like ancient Rome. I would absolutely love that. And then B block, it's either Bartolomeo or Bellamy. I'll be really surprised if Bellamy won. Some of these people I'm sure I've seen before. I'm sure I've seen Dagama before. I'm sure I have. He looks familiar. But also the fact that a lot of these are the ones I haven't really heard of, or I just don't think are as important as the other ones. I just feel like they're just not going to win. But I could be proven wrong. But those are my bets. Those are my bets. Place your bets. Seriously, just how many people want to kill Luffy? Just because. There is this big guy who appears at the end. I can't remember his name, but he mentions Garp, and he says, Garp nearly killed me years ago, and I've decided that my hatred would extend to at least 3 generations. So yeah, that does extend down to Luffy. And also now, Cavendish has overheard this too. So like, obviously this disguise is not going to last long. It's lasted longer than in Impel Down, like when he was trying to stay hidden in Impel Down, and he pretty much kind of got revealed straight away. And that was mainly because of Buggy, to be fair. But yeah, now that we're getting into the fights of the blocks in this Colosseum, I imagine that I won't have too much to say because there's a lot of, action happening. There's a lot of characters that we're getting not exactly introduced to because we did get a panel of them before, kind of mentioning their name. But this is us getting a taste of who they actually are in how they fight. So it's really interesting to see, and I always find it interesting when you have so many different people with different fighting styles coming together to fight and how different the outcomes usually come. So what I always enjoy about One Piece is how different all the fights usually are because of the variety of fighting styles. So now I am kind of questioning my bets from the previous chapter update. I don't actually know who is going to come out winner. But also what was interesting actually as well is that we do have a fisherman fighting here as well. Fisherman warrior Hack. And obviously we explored the racism and the prejudice against fishermen in the Fisherman Island arc. And obviously this is something that's so prevalent in the world. Nothing's changing in the outside world just yet because of all the things that happened in the Fisherman Island arc. I don't think any of that has had an effect on the outer world just yet. And to solidify that point, we do have other competitors who are fighting this fisherman saying things like, just a filthy fisherman. What do you think you're doing in this human tournament, you freak? Fish face, freak. It's just using all of these horrible words against this fisherman, just showing that there is that prejudice in the outside world, which we already know about, we've already seen, but it is interesting to see Oda still continue to show that side of things whenever there is a fisherman amongst humans, exactly what they have to go through, and that we still have a long way to go for any change to really happen. So now I'm rooting for Hack, to be honest, but I still think maybe, what was his name again? It will take me a while to get used to people's names. Manita Bartolomeo. He's just kind of feeding off people's anger, and he's just like chilling, relaxing. I don't know who's actually going to win, but I did put my money on either him or Bellamy, but I'm not exactly 100% sure on that just yet, because I want Hack to win. Okay, the big guy who wants vengeance for what Gob did to him is Chinchou, and Cavendish now also knows that that is definitely Straw Hat Luffy. So I don't know what that means for Luffy when he gets out into the Colosseum. It's not going to be good. I feel like so many people are going to be unfairly targeting him. Just give Luffy a break. And even Luffy shouts, like, these things aren't my fault. So Chinchou had to be held back by his own, I think they were his sons or grandsons. Yeah, unhand me my grandsons. They have a real reason for fighting in the arena, and he needs to remember that going into it. So it'll be interesting to find out what that is, like the real reason they're doing it. Cavendish just wants to kill Luffy before he even gets on the battlefield or in the ring of the Colosseum. And I'm sad because I think Hack's been taken down by Bartolomeo. And even though Bartolomeo was just pissing, he's just like got his penis out, he's just pissing everywhere, which is kind of hilarious. But the fact that this is happening during this entire thing, it's like he's not even taking it seriously, which also does add to his audacity and his personality, like his character. The fact that he can just take a leak in front of everyone as all this fighting's going on and maybe take down Hack. No, I'm rooting for Hack. He's a friend of Jinbei's, so I need him to win. Ooh, even though I am loving the fighting and the storylines that are happening in the Colosseum, I'm really glad we're also going back to the toys of Dressrosa. And the fact that, because one of them is talking to Frankie, because Frankie's still trying to find out where this factory is, which I'm really loving the fact that Frankie's been a lot more useful and utilized in this arc than he was in Punk Hazard. He did have his moments, but like, this is like meaty stuff for Frankie, like this is him actually doing something that's really going to propel the plot forward. But yeah, the toys talking to him, and Frankie wants to destroy the place, but they want him to wait because they need to save the people who are inside still, like the people who work there. So it does sound like there are people who are working there against their will. Our activity is a crucial piece to overthrowing the country. If you have the fortitude and conviction to stand up to Doflamingo, then I shall tell you the entire truth about the tragic nation of Dressrosa. Ooh, like that is so intriguing. Overthrowing the country. It reminds me a little bit of Alabasta in a way, except Alabasta had a king that did care for his people. Whereas in this one, it's kind of like the opposite side of that, because we have Doflamingo here, who is obviously a tyrant and isn't exactly a great ruler. There were people in Alabasta who were trying to overthrow the king, but they were given false information. Or like Crocodile had manipulated a lot of the city, a lot of the country to turn against the king. So it almost seems like this is Alabasta in a way, but like an actual overthrowing that we are rooting for. And I was right. Bartolomeo is the one who won Block B. So give me your money. Give me your money right now. I'll settle for a like. Like this video if you haven't already. But he has had apparently the barrier fruit. And I want to learn the proper names of these devil fruits. Because obviously this is just like the English translation. But the devil fruits have proper names. So I want to do a lot of research into devil fruits and their correct names once I caught up, because I know there are some great videos, especially I think by Tekken, on devil fruits, and I want to study everything. I want to study the world of One Piece. I want to become a One Piece guru. But it was a great fight again in the Colosseum. I really enjoyed seeing people get taken down. I was kind of rooting for Bellamy in a way, because I would have preferred him to win over Bartolomeo. And even Luffy shouted down to Bellamy, "Hey Bellamy, hang in there," while Luffy is also hanging from the ledge. So I think that was like a funny thing for him to shout. But this arc, I think I am the most intrigued by the country politics and this revelation at the end. I think that's what I really want to sink my teeth into. Even though the Colosseum section is amazing, don't get me wrong, it's amazing, but I think I'm more interested in the politics of Dressrosa. It is weird that I'm feeling a little bit sorry for Bellamy, especially after the way he was in Jaya. Like, I will never ever forget when Luffy and Zoro just had to stand there and take the beatings of Bellamy and his pirates in Jaya. Like, that moment still pains my heart so much. But what I do like about Oda, and I like about the characters of One Piece, is that they do seem to develop and change over time, and I'm willing to see if Bellamy has genuinely changed since that moment. But I just don't know, because I don't know what happened to his crew really. I don't know who he is as a person. And even though Luffy does say you have changed, Bellamy says it's you who's changed. But you had the goal to root for me. Now my pride is shredded and tattered. Straw Hat, and now Bartolomeo knows that Straw Hat is there. It's like everyone is just giving it away. Like, stop. I like that this chapter focused mainly on Law, Robin, and Usopp, and even Caesar getting to, it's called Greenbit, which is an uninhabited island north of Dressrosa, Greenbit, with like these oversized plants and things. It looks huge, it looks massive. And I think Usopp was on a similar island during the time skip, right? Like, that's where he ended up after Kuma sent him off somewhere. It was in a sort of like jungle-like setting, so he could be good in this area, I think. However, I think there might be, well, Robin at the end declares that she thinks that there are little people on this island. I've got one. What do you mean, Robin? I think they're little people. So what is this place? What is going on? There are some Navy people there as well who have been stripped down. And Law has told Smoker that he was going to be in Greenbit. So I don't know if maybe the plan was to get Caesar and Doflamingo at the same point so that Doflamingo would pick Caesar up, but also have Smoker and the Navy get there and capture them. Maybe that was the point. But now Robin and Usopp have split up from Law, and it's like 40 minutes until the exchange. So I don't know. I don't know what the overall plan actually is and how that's going to work. But yeah, I actually really like Robin's disguise. I haven't mentioned that yet, but I like her look. She seems very, what era would I say? Like 60s maybe? Maybe 60s or 70s era. The way she looks with like the glasses, the big hat, her hair being down at the front on either side. Yeah, she's giving like very 70s vibes, I think. I'm getting such major The Borrowers vibes from these little people. Kingdom of Tontata, that is under Greenbit. So they have their own little like kingdom. They have their own houses and system, Kingdom of Tontata. And I was worried about Robin there, because I wasn't sure what they were going to do, especially since they stripped down the Navy people before. So I was like, God damn it, God damn it. And they do actually end up trying to do that to Robin, but she convinces them that she's a good guy, very easily, I might add. It does show you how gullible they are, thank God. But yeah, this panel alone made me think of The Borrowers, and with this whole, again, tie back to childhood and stuff throughout this entire arc that we've had so far, with like the toys and things, I'm wondering, like, are there different sort of children's fables, different children's stories that are also weaved into this arc too? Because yeah, The Borrowers, I'm just getting major vibes from that. So I'm glad they didn't actually do anything bad to Robin even though it was close there. So this could actually end up being like a really, really interesting section of Dressrosa. And I just, again, wasn't expecting this as part of the Dressrosa story. It seems to just be going off in different directions. You know, with the whole Colosseum thing, I wasn't expecting. This part with the little people, I wasn't expecting. Zoro did actually end up running into one of them too, called Wicca. He ended up running into Wicca. But obviously his sense of direction is absolutely shocking. So we got that quite a few times in even just like this one short segment. He just literally cannot for the life of him go in the right direction. Do have boogers for brains. Shut up. It even looks like these people are also trying to overthrow Doflamingo. They want different things to happen. You guys have got beef with Doflamingo too. Yes, but that's a secret. So that's interesting. But also the stuff with the toys as well, actually. I think now, because of just something that happens in this chapter, that the toys did used to be real people and they've been changed. Because Rebecca, she sees Frankie and the toy that he's been talking to about overthrowing the kingdom, and Rebecca's crying and she's saying, when it's all over we can live together. And then for a second I was like, really, with a toy? However, then the toy says, even if these tin eyes can no longer shed tears of their own. So when he said no longer can shed tears, I thought, oh, this used to be a person. And I feel like all the toys must have been a person at one point, and they've probably been turned against their will into toys. So that adds a whole other level to what's happening on Dressrosa and all the other things that Doflamingo is behind. But then the biggest bombshell was the end of the bloody chapter. Doflamingo never quit the Seven Warlords. That is what Sanji tells Law, and that the whole exchange with Caesar is not going to actually happen because Doflamingo and the blind guy, forgot his name already, but it will get back to me, they're on their way to Greenbit, and Sanji's telling them to get off that island. So I still don't even know what's happened to the team that was left on the Thousand Sunny. What's happened to them? And now with this whole exchange kind of going down the shitter and everyone's broken off yet again, it's like everything's all scattered. And I do live for it in this arc. It adds the chaos, it adds the stakes to it too. So there's just like so much more play now than I thought possible when I began this arc. But I finished volume 71, and now I am on volume 72. I know I give Sanji a lot of grief, and I really do wish he would stick up for himself more when it came to women beating him up. Especially when it turns out that Violet is part of the Don Quixote family. So he's on the ground, beaten up black and blue, blood everywhere. And honestly, my heart just went out for him because I just felt so bad. I don't like seeing Sanji get hurt. I don't like seeing him getting beat up. I really don't. I would still protect him with my life. Even though I do have a lot of things I don't like about him, I do still care for him. So it was really painful actually to see him on the floor, not actually fighting back. And to be fair though, it was him not fighting back that meant he got out of this situation relatively unscathed. So it was kind of like something that inadvertently worked in Sanji's favor. So yeah, Violet is part of the Don Quixote family, and she has this power where she is, well, it made her into this kind of seer person, and she can, well, it looks like she can x-ray or like look through people's clothes and stuff and like see the skeletons and stuff like that. I mean, that could get really bad. That could get really bad. I have just had a vision of Violet dying and Sanji getting her power and using that power to look through women's clothes. I genuinely see that happening, and I really hope it doesn't. But because of Sanji's kindness, it does kind of touch Violet, and she ends up pushing her own men away and telling Sanji about the plan, which is how we saw Sanji phone Law and tell him about the plan. So it's kind of a little bit of a flashback moment to that moment there. So I was kind of a bit all over the place with this chapter because I was, well, at first, you know, a few chapters back, I was like, I wouldn't mind it if Sanji and Violet kind of fell for one another, you know? Like, that would have been quite sweet. And then as soon as the start of this chapter happened, I was like, okay, definitely not. But then now, actually, because, you know, he sees her tears and he sees her as a person, not exactly as a villain, it touches her, and that's why she does end up helping him. So now it does seem like Violet is also a victim of Doflamingo, and she is just doing things that she doesn't want to do because of him. So yeah, now I'm just like, I was so all over the place with this chapter, honestly. But now I think I am rooting for Violet to escape Doflamingo. In fact, I'm rooting for all of the people who work for Doflamingo to escape. So the plan of getting Doflamingo to resign as a Warlord of the Sea fell through. But there is still that issue of, there was that one person that they were talking about earlier when they were talking about the Warlords of the Sea. and then somebody mentioned another person, but we don't know who that was. At least I don't think we're supposed to know just yet. I might be dumb. That's usually the case. But the whole plan with Doflamingo getting him resigned and to resign as the king of Dressrosa just totally failed. And now I'm actually really scared for Law, because Robin and Usopp are off on their little adventure now. Law and Caesar are the only ones left from that whole transaction team that they had set up at the start of the arc. So really Law is on his own, because obviously Caesar isn't on his side. Now I'm genuinely concerned for Law, especially since Doflamingo wants to kill him. He says, I guess I just really, really wanted to kill you. He better not lay a fucking feather on Law. Oh, but also, Block C, they're about to start the battle in the Colosseum. The Battle Royale, who will reign triumphant? Gotta be Luffy. You know what? I have missed Usopp's lying, cheating ways. I really have. And even Robin's like, oh, Usopp, you are wicked. And I'm like, yeah, wicked good. Obviously, I don't agree with lying, but the way Usopp does it though, it's an art. It is an art to him, especially when it gets him in trouble. Oh my god, like we got to tie back to Jaya, which, didn't I mention that before as well? Yeah, because Bellamy. So, like, we are having these connections to Jaya right now. There is a statue of Mont Blanc Noland, Noland the liar from the Jaya arc. The famous liar, but turned out that he was telling the truth about a few things, you know? So they've been waiting for hundreds of years, and they were going to vow to fight back against Doflamingo. And they've been waiting for a descendant of Noland to come. And there's Usopp. His face is like buggies. Back in Marineford. Was it Marineford or Impel Down? I think it was Marineford. When the buggy ball, I think, got smashed back towards him. And he was just standing there looking like that. Hilarious. This is what lies do. They get you into trouble. I love it though. I love it. I just love that connection to Jaya, honestly. It's so good the way it's been worked into it. I did find it a little bit too easy getting the location of this factory that we've been looking for this entire time. And literally Violet turns around and says, you want to go to the secret factory? Yes, he has a map. And I just think that is just way too easy. Because one thing I think One Piece sometimes lacks is the exploration and finding things on their own. They do it every now and then, but I feel like the majority of the time things get handed to them when they're in these places, or we focus more on fights rather than actual exploration. But even Kinemon, who we haven't seen in a while actually, I was wondering where he went. His fellow samurai friend is being held in the House of Toys. So it's like both of those things have happened at once. Luffy is fighting in the tournament and it's being broadcast and he's whipping everyone's ass apparently. This mighty gladiator is overpowering the field. Mighty Lucy takes no prisoners. And Sanji's like, oh my god. But it turns out that my fears for Law are justified. Fujitora, so he has used his powers, again, like incredible powers. Again, not sure what they actually are, but there was like this huge meteorite that fell from the sky. There was just so much chaos and so many explosions going on that I didn't know what was happening. But then it turns out that, yeah, there's just the three platforms essentially where they are, Doflamingo, Law, and Fujitora. And yeah, it's just those three on those little platform things. So that's honestly not looking good for Law, and he's by himself too. Like, what has this alliance actually done for him but get him into trouble? Okay, the SBS corner is getting very, very pervy as well. It's been a little bit pervy for a good few volumes now. I haven't really mentioned it because I just like... It just seems like 2 out of 3 of the questions in the SBS corner after each chapter seem to be the perviest. I know these are questions that have been sent in and shit, but like surely there were millions of questions that have been submitted. Did we really have to go for those ones? Anyway, did Luffy just take down that guy, that big giant from Elbaf in one punch? Did he take him down? Because, oh, the poor bull. The poor bull. Literally, Luffy and the bull have been, like, fighting together. And it's just, like, kind of sweet. Like, even Rebecca's watching and she's laughing. And it's just so sad that the giant just crushes the bull and kills it straight away. I mean, obviously, this is a tournament. This is a fight. This is a Colosseum fight. So, you know, people get hurt, people die. But not our bull. Not our bull. Luffy has jumped up and I think has just punched the giant. Or he could have used Haki, actually. He could have used Haki, but I'm not sure. I think he might have just punched him. It's a little bit hard to tell. But just the way his face is, it looks like he's being punched. And then it says the giant is down. So did he just take down the giant in one punch, like he did with Bellamy back in Jaya? Is that what's happened? Oh, and speaking of Bellamy as well, he's been told that he has to assassinate Luffy to get a spot in the family. But Bellamy actually seems to be rather torn up about that. He doesn't seem to want to assassinate Luffy. I mean, yes, they are kind of enemies and they have a history together, but like the fact that he's looking like this and he's not just like jumping up at the chance of having another chance to join the family, it's just great to me because I'm like, don't, because I don't want to start liking Bellamy now. I don't. I already made my mind up about him. Okay? I can't forgive him for some things, okay? But then again, like Crocodile as well. Crocodile's done some unforgivable things. And I like him now. Oh, God, it was just... At the same time as well, it seems like Bartolomeo is really after Luffy. Like, he genuinely wants revenge for something. He's even gone up to Cavendish and said to him, he's not yours to kill. So he definitely does have a history. And then actually, the only question in the SBS corner that was relevant was about him, and Oda said he's 24 years old and he's from the East Blue. So that's making me think if he has a history with Luffy and he's from the East Blue, maybe this ties back to maybe like the post-war arc when we saw Luffy's childhood. And maybe something happened during that. I mean, I'm trying to remember what happened in the post-war arc other than absolute pain and me being distraught. That would tie back to this. So I'm wondering if maybe Bartolomeo had a run-in with little Luffy and little Ace, maybe. Maybe it has something to do with that. Because we're getting so much about Ace in this arc as well. And knowing that he's from the East Blue and that he wants some kind of revenge or they have a history makes me think that it must be so far in the past that it's definitely not part of the East Blue adventures that we've gone on since Romance Dawn to post-war, unless it was in a flashback in post-war. So I'm wondering if he showed up in a flashback in post-war. Maybe he was one of the kids in post-war and he just had a run-in with Ace and Luffy and Sabo, I think his name was. But there is definitely something fishy going on there. Oh, I was wondering what happened to the Straw Hats still on the Thousand Sunny. But Jola, part of the family, has kind of transformed them into like some kind of abstract art stuff. And even the Thousand Sunny as well, so that they can't escape from Dressrosa too. She seems to be like ruining everything, but she has that power, the power of making things into art. But I kind of do love Brooke's arty design there. He just looks kind of cute. He really does actually look quite cute. He also looks a little bit like Ghostface from Scream. Or I guess like the Scream, the artwork, I think it's called the Scream. I think that's what she's kind of turned Brooke into. But yeah, I was wondering what happened to them. And they're after Momonosuke. So it's like so much going on. So many different things going on at once. Okay, not a whole lot to say about this chapter. I've got both cats staring at me, glaring at me, because they just won't let me just sit and enjoy One Piece in peace. But the fight's just still going on in the Colosseum. It's mainly just focused on that. Lots of people throwing punches. It says there's around about 40 people left. I totally forgot about that really big guy who has a vendetta against Garp. I mean, if Garp is watching this and he sees Luffy, I'm sure he'll be quite happy to see Luffy. I really want to see Garp again, actually. This chapter made me miss Garp because I didn't give him enough credit when I first read him. But the more I think about him, and especially after seeing him in the post-war arc too, I just, oh my gosh, like my heart does go out to him. I want to see Garp again, so I hope with all of this mention about him, we might see him return, especially if this is getting broadcast and people do see Straw Hat Luffy, since it looks like his disguise as Lucy might be, well, not a disguise anymore. Maybe. He's trying very hard to hide it still, but I just don't think he'll be able to. It's impossible at this point. But yeah, just a lot of people fighting. It is what it is. I knew Luffy and Chinzhou would be the last two standing. Chinzhou is the one who's after Garp. Just a lot of fighting in this chapter. I think the next chapter will put an end to the fight of Block C, considering there's only two left standing. It was actually pretty epic to see the Supreme King Haki collision between Luffy and Chinzhou. Like the, kind of like the devastation two forms of Haki have on one another when they're being used at the same time. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. It looks like they're literally smashing the fabric of the universe. And it takes out so many people at once too, so that is why there's only two standing now. The only other thing that I found interesting in this too was John Angle talking about the escaped prisoners from Impel Down and how they've been trying to, well, it says, what, complete the entire set of escapees. Can't remember how many escapees from Impel Down I've taken out, dozens at least. He's trying to complete the entire set of escapees starting with you. They also mention Buggy, Jimby, Crocodile, Ivor. Hunt all of you down and make a name for myself. Just so many outside things that could potentially carry forward in the future. Will we still see this John Ango person go after Luffy and the other escapees in the future? Is this something that's going to be brought back up again? This is a good question. But that Chinjao person is really pissing me off. I'm not gonna lie. He says that Garp took away a lot of fortune from him or something. He says he stole my strength and the memories of my youth. Death is too lenient to punishment for Garp. He must live in all the misery of loss. I mean, the fact that he's lost Ace, I think, is punishment enough, don't you? Like, why would he have to lose Luffy as well in order to feel that loss? I don't care for him at the minute. He's just pissing me off. He's just in the way. So I want Luffy to take him down the next chapter and let's just move on. Okay, that Chinchou person has like broke down crying. I don't know what's going on with him. He just wants his memories back. And there was actually a big focus on the forgotten and the forgetting. Is that how it was described? Let me go back and check. Oh, sorry. The forgotten and the forgetters. So there's a lot of stuff tying in with memory in this arc too that I've noticed, especially if there's something to do with Garp and that Chinjao person taking their memories. And then also it is confirmed that a lot of the toys, or in fact all of the toys in this place, every toy you've seen in Dressrosa was once a human being. So that was my theory before, turned out to be true, but I think it was kind of obvious. That's not me being critical, by the way. 10 years ago, Doflamingo brought someone wielding dreadful powers with him and turned us all into toys. And when Frankie mentions Vegapunk, the toy doesn't say anything. So was it Vegapunk? No, that doesn't sound right because 4 years before he was still on Punk Hazard, right? Just remembering what happened in the past at Punk Hazard. I'm pretty sure Vegapunk was still there, so I don't know. 10 years, I mean, he could have went between the places, I guess. But he wouldn't do that though, because he was throwing Caesar out because of his suggestion to use children in the experiments. So 10 years ago, it must be someone evil. Extremely excited to find out who that person is and more about it. But the fact that, like, I was shocked at the end because I was like, really? It's there? Apparently the factory's underneath the Colosseum. The final battle is in Dressrosa at the secret factory beneath the Colosseum. That's literally where Luffy is right now. And do they know how dangerous that is? Because they're fighting so much at the top there. We just had that big clash with the Haki. Like, it could destroy everything, right? And the factory's just right below that. Like, Luffy could accidentally destroy it without even knowing. And there's people that we need to save there. Apparently a princess, Princess Manchery, has been kept there too. But I do love that we're trucking along. Also, this guy looks familiar. Bastille, I think his name is. He looks familiar. I think it was Marineford we saw him. But I don't really know too much more about him. And yeah, I think Luffy's got this win in the bag because Chinjao is just crying his eyes out. So it's just odd. Okay, we did actually get some good stuff in the SBS this time that actually related to the arc in something of importance that didn't have to do with women's bodies. It was about the inspiration behind Dressrosa, and obviously it's like inspired by Spain. I mentioned ancient Rome before, but that was because of the Colosseum. But he did say it's ancient Greece for the Colosseum parts, so that's my bad. I'm glad I read that so I can correct myself. But yeah, you're right about Dressrosa. It's based on Spain and ancient Greece for the Colosseum parts. With Doflamingo trying to think of what kind of country suited him, I arrived at the conclusion of Spain. I can definitely say that. So that was like really interesting, and I wish every single question in the SBS corner was that insightful. But yeah, I guess it's not over in the Colosseum just yet. Luffy's still fighting. Law has managed to phone Chopper and tell him to bring the ship so that they can get Caesar out of there. And Law looks like he is fighting too. He's fighting to the nail against Doflamingo, and it's just not looking that great for him at the minute. But oh my god, how cute are these high-speed foxes? Oh my god, they are so adorable. I do really like this whole small kingdom setting. It reminds me of, as I said, the Borrowers, but also Arrietty, which I think was based off the Borrowers. But just seeing the systems that they have in place, like they have their own little airport, and the insects are the ones that are like transporting them. And it's just so incredible. Like, I love seeing Robin and Usopp being so big and just like looking at all of this tiny stuff and just like the wonder of that, the kind of like magic that brings, the Tontata Kingdom, and we're on our way into Dressrosa through this secret corridor thing. So I guess we won't be seeing more of this place, but I do wish we did get to see a lot more of it and to see more of how they live. But it looks like we're leaving that place already. But those foxes are just so cute. Also, Murphy just uploaded a video today about Dressrosa in Don Quixote. I did ask her, she said I can watch it after I finish the Dressrosa arc, and I'm pretty sure there is a book called Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. I've never read it before, but it came out in the 1600s. What is the basic story of it? It involves the adventures of a member of the lowest nobility who reads so many chivalric romances. That makes sense of why this is the land of love and passion. He either loses or pretends to have lost his mind in order to become a knight-errant, to revive chivalry and serve his nation. So either loses or pretends to have lost his mind. So there is that kind of tie then into memory. What is going on? It does seem like maybe that Don Quixote book seems to be kind of important. I do love it when Oda takes so much inspiration from literature. It seems like we have like borrowers here. We have Don Quixote. I just want to learn everything. I want the whole history of all the inspirations of this. So I can't wait to watch Murphy's video. Okay, I'm so glad the whole Chinchou stuff is over now. I didn't mind it too much, but I'm just glad that the whole Colosseum fight thing with Luffy has come to an end. I wasn't too taken by the whole little flashback thing. I did love seeing Garp younger. I think he was about 30 years younger. But it was interesting to see how Chinchou got really messed over by Garp in the fact that he had this like drill head thing or like the spiky head thing, and Garp had like punched him and it messed up his head so that he lost that shape. But then Luffy's done a move and it looks like the shape is back, so he better be grateful. He better be grateful for Luffy and let go of this goddamn vendetta, because oh my god. But I'm glad Luffy won. And that is that the third time now? Second or third time now that I've gotten the bet right of who will win each of the blocks. No, this is just the second time because I didn't get a chance to bet on the first round. So I won the second bet and I've won the third bet. So the fourth bet I said Rebecca, didn't I? I wanted to see more of Cavendish as well, but I wouldn't be mad if Rebecca took him down. So Rebecca is who I'm rooting for in the next one. However, it does look like the winner of the first round, Jesus, who is on Blackbeard's crew, seems to recognise Straw Hat. Did he say Straw Hat? Fantastic, so that's what's going on. So that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. I'm actually surprised still that people are still thinking that this is Lucy and not Luffy. I'm really surprised. Okay, so a few things. Well, one, I don't know who to trust. Even though I do still think I'm on Rebecca's side here, I do want to know more about her, and it does seem like she's had quite a traumatic past. She did just try and take Luffy out so that I guess she has him out of the running so she can get the fruit. But again, like, it's for a really good cause. She does really want to take down Doflamingo, and you see the other prisoners who are also gladiators, you know, being forced to fight to the death. There's like this whole system here in place. Honestly, it looks like everything that Doflamingo has touched is evil. It's bad. So I don't blame her. It is sad, and especially since we got the briefest of glimpses to her childhood when Luffy asks, wait, are you not hungry? And she has this little panel where it says, Mother, I'm hungry, and she's a child and she's looking up, and yeah, she looks like she might be starving as a child. So that's like the tiniest of panels, but it said so much about her character in that one tiny panel there. It's like she's conditioned herself to not feel that hunger again, to never get herself in that situation again as a child, a starving child, begging her mother for food. Oh my gosh, like, that is so heartbreaking, and it was just like one tiny panel. And I don't think she will try anything on Luffy again. It was just a lapse of judgment on her part, I think, because she does have this goal that's driving her forward, and she'll do anything to get it. And it is a good goal. It's a goal that I agree with. We do need to take Doflamingo down. There was a moment with Jesus Burgess with the transponder snail, and we have Blackbeard on the phone talking to on the transponder snail. I keep saying phone, but you know what I mean. He says he's going to take the flame fruit, and it'll be like having his very own ace on the crew. And oh my god, like, this man infuriates me because it's Blackbeard's fault that Ace was even captured in the first place. I hate him so much, and I love that Luffy is saying, you're never going to get your hands on Ace's power. I'll see to that. I believe Luffy will do it. I do. And I know some people were saying in the background, like, oh, is Luffy the one who failed to save his brother? I don't think Luffy's going to fail this. Luffy is not going to fail. He's not going to allow himself to fail. This means way too much to him. And it means too much to me too. Also, Bartolomeo, he saw Luffy at Logtown. So that is the connection, I think. I don't think my theory before about post-war and him knowing Luffy as a child, I don't think that is correct anymore. It does seem like he witnessed Luffy on the execution stand in Logtown when the heavens saved Luffy from being executed by Buggy. And this Bartolomeo is just so enamored by Luffy. He really is. Like, he's so impressed. He's been trying to track him down. Heavens cast down a ball of lightning and freed him from his plight. He is the man who's going to lead this era soon. He's the future king of the pirates. I saw that for myself. And it's just like, okay, I love how that's connected to this. Like, we had connections to Jaya, and we've had connections to Logtown, and Punk Hazard, obviously, and just like loads of different things coming together here. And also Skype here as well, actually, with like Bellamy. I feel like we're going to get all of those connections coming. Like, all roads are leading to here. Maybe not Dressrosa specifically, but the New World definitely. Because, yeah, all of these connections, all of this name dropping in things that have happened in the past, I love the connections. I really, really do. I love how it's all tying together. Oh, poor Rebecca. I wasn't expecting this length of a flashback for anyone, really. It's been a while since we've had a good flashback. I think Fishman Island, the huge one in that one with the Queen and the Princess and everything, that one was a really good flashback. But like this about Rebecca, it just pulled my heartstrings, it really did. And I'm glad we got more of the clarification with Rebecca's mother, and also more of her as a person. So she's a princess. We meet so many princesses in the world of One Piece. I should do a ranking of them, I should. But she is the daughter of the old king, and they say he's the enemy of the people. But really, I mean, Doflamingo has been such a tyrant of a ruler that surely they don't actually think the old king is a bad person. It's just because of what Doflamingo has conditioned this entire country to think. Scum of the Riku dynasty, descendant of evil, die loser. Like, how awful is that? Bless her, and she's like crying. Oh, honestly, Rebecca better win this. Rebecca better win this round, I swear. I feel so bad for her. And that flashback too, that soldier looking after her, the fact that I can understand now why Rebecca doesn't want to go hungry, because when she asked for food and her mother went out to get some, that's when she died. I mean, obviously it wasn't her fault, but she must have so much guilt on her shoulders about that, and that must be why she doesn't really feel hungry anymore. But also to do with the kindness of the Thunder Soldier, brought back the mother's dead body, which a bit much, isn't it? And brought the bread that the mother, I guess, died for. But she's died smiling, you know, she's smiling at the end there. I wonder if that'll be important. Because Ace died smiling, Goldie Roger died smiling. Will that be important? But nice to get more dimensions to the secondary characters, the characters that we've met in this arc. It just highlights even more of Doflamingo's crimes, and I just don't think he can get any worse as a person. I need to see more of him though. I feel like we haven't had much of Doflamingo so far. He's mainly been with Law, and we have barely seen anything to do with Law and Doflamingo. We might get like a little window into it every now and then, but not enough of it for me to really feel Doflamingo's presence right now. I only feel it in other people and the way that other people act. So it'll be great to see Doflamingo, like actually Doflamingo. So hopefully that is coming. I finished volume 72 and now I'm going on to volume 73, which actually feels quite short. I'm used to these volumes feeling thick as fuck. I am so glad that Joel has been taken down, and I'm glad it was Brooke who did it, because we had, again, one of the funniest Brooke moments, I think, or at least one of his best jokes, because Joel's whole shtick is doing all of this abstract art stuff, and then Brooke, he manages to convince her to release his violin and bow so that he can do a song for her show, and she does it, and then he uses bamboo flute slice and takes her down, and then he says, forgive me, I don't know much about art after all, I don't really have an eye for it. And again, it looks like he's looking at us as he says that, because I swear every single time Brooke tells a joke, I think he looks at us, the reader, as in like, I've just dropped a funny joke, breaking the fourth wall, as I mentioned before. I don't really have an eye for it. Oh my god, just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, yes, I love Luffy and how he calls Cavendish Cabbage. Like, that's his name for him. He's been calling him that like this entire time, but I only wanted to mention it now because Cavendish, or I might stop calling him Cabbage, gives this big speech to all the spectators who are heckling Rebecca, And it was actually a really nice thing for him to do. And he's actually surprised at the fact that they're giving him this love and praise and attention. So he didn't do this whole speech to get attention, even though he's absolutely loving it right now. They really love me. They really, really love me. He did it because he actually wanted to do it. The lives of warriors are not a sideshow. So he does actually have a lot of heart and respect. Even if he says, Dan Cabbage, that was awesome. You're not that bad after all. Still hate you though. Love it. Love it. So Rebecca does seem to be the underdog of this whole thing right now of Block D. She seems to be the underdog, so of course it makes me want to root for her even more. I think Zoro's on his way to Greenbit. I think, you know, to take the... Can't remember its name, but it's like one of the little people trying to take them back. But obviously he cannot, for the life of him, find out where he's going. The biggest bombshell was at the end though, where it seems like the Don Quixotes were the original kind of rulers of Dressrosa, not the Riku dynasty that happened after the world government or something 800 years ago. 19 kingdoms lost their kings. Countries all needed successors, and I think that's when the Riku dynasty stepped in. But before, the creators, the ones who left for Marijoa, were the Don Quixotes. So I think they were the original kingdom, the original rulers. And also Doflamingo defeated Law. So he has Caesar's heart back. Bloody gutted. Law needs help. Seriously, he's been on his own for far too long. What happened to this alliance? Although, saying that though, I do really want Luffy to get Ace's devil fruit. It's his. I don't care that he's gone now, and it does mean that it manifests itself somewhere else. It's still Ace's, okay? Still Ace's. Okay, so Law is not out of the running just yet, and he didn't give Doflamingo Caesar's heart back. In fact, I have no idea where the bloody hell it is. So I'm glad that our plans, or at least the side that we're on anyway, I'm glad those plans aren't just like completely out of action and like out of order. Because it does seem like everything has gone wrong since setting foot on Dressrosa. But no, it does seem like we're getting back on track with some things. But now Doflamingo is flying towards the Thousand Sunny with like Nami, Chopper, and Brook on it. But Sanji though, I'm so glad to see Sanji. Like, I've never been happier to see Sanji. But I love that Sanji says, when my crew is crying, that's your cue to stay the hell away. And he's like protected of Nami and Chopper and Brook. And Momonosuke, of course. But he's being protective of his crew, and I love that. Sanji's been good in this arc. He's been very good in this arc. So I don't know if there is going to be a fight between Doflamingo and Sanji, but that'll be the first time that a Straw Hat has fought him. I mean, in my mind, I do see Law. Because of the alliance, he is sort of an honorary Straw Hat. But he's not quite a Straw Hat, you know, like Sanji is. So I'm really excited to see the fight between them. I hope Sanji gives it his all. That Bartolomeo is such a fanboy to an obscene amount. He sees Zoro and he's just totally fangirling over him. And I don't blame him. I really don't. But it's just odd behaviour coming from someone who won the Block B round of the Colosseum. And when I thought that he had this really deep revenge vendetta against Luffy, the fact that he's just like totally fawning over Luffy and Zoro, he's just one huge fanboy, and I love that. Even though Sanji didn't last too long against Doflamingo, I'm still so proud of him. But I am glad that Law was there to save the day, and I am still so impressed with his powers. I would love to study him more, study what he can do more, because what he can do is just so fantastic. And it seems like this thing between Law and Doflamingo has been going on for like 13 years. Law wants to settle our score from 13 years ago. What? There is some history here. There is definitely some interesting history here between those two. Meanwhile as well though, I did love the fact that even though Law was telling Nami to go to the next island, Nami said absolutely no, we're waiting. We can't set sail without our captain. We're the Straw Hat crew. So even though Nami has been very scared this arc, and has been like terrified, especially when Doflamingo was flying over, she and Chopper and even Brook were like, eh. So even though things are scary right now for her, she's still like, you know what, no, we still can't leave. We can't leave without Luffy and our crew. We are the Straw Hats after all. I do love that solid foundation of family within Nami's heart when it comes to the Straw Hats. Doesn't matter how scared she is, she will not run away from them. She might run away from a scary situation, but she'll never run away without the Straw Hats. Just pointing this out as well, because I don't have much else to say. The way that Doflamingo kind of hovers above Sanji, he is honestly a creepy, terrifying person. He does scare the life out of me. He just looks sadistic. That big smile, which I know is very apt considering what is going on with him, and the factory smile and Joker, and he's got that big smile, you know what I mean. But like, he just looks so sinister and creepy with those eyes and that smile, and the way he's just hovering over Sanji is just, Oh god, he's scary. So I don't think Law has a personal vendetta against Doflamingo. It seems like he is doing it for someone else. I'm fulfilling someone else's long-held desire. Okay, okay. Just lots of fighting going on still, I have nothing to say about that. However, interesting to know that the Colosseum survivors, like the people who need treated, who have been injured from these games, like, well, at least from the battles, have been dropped into, is it like the scrap? Because it seems like that's where all the broken toys go. And when you look at what's around them, it looks like a lot of broken or dead toys. So I think they get sent into the scrap. So a lot of people that we've already met, because they were in the Colosseum, are down here. So does that mean that they're going to be turned into toys themselves? Or are they just being cast out like trash, like these toys are? Either way, Doflamingo is not doing himself any favours. He is getting more and more people against him. So there's going to be so many people who are going to be fighting Doflamingo by the end of this. So I'm kind of assuming that by the end of this arc, everyone is going to be fighting Doflamingo. Everybody will want a turn to beat him into the ground. Oh my gosh, the family drama in this chapter. So we get Ricky turns out to be the former king, Riku, and also the toy soldier that saved Rebecca is her father. Like, what? What? It's just so messy. But yeah, it's dramatic, but it's really great. There was a lot of talking in this one, actually. A lot of backstory, a lot of different politic things happening. But I was not expecting the toy soldier to be Rebecca's dad. That's interesting. It does definitely feel very Alabaster at the minute, actually. It does, with the whole usurping the throne and also the king being made to look bad, because there was an incident that happened 10 years before and the people do not know the truth of what happened. The king was trying to protect the country to the very end. Doflamingo attempted to wipe out the Riku bloodline entirely, but I took Rebecca away from his grasp. So yeah, it does feel a little bit like Alabaster with the king. He did love his people, but he got made to look bad. Also, the fairies thing was explained too. How 800 years ago the new king gave the Tontata people some like leeway in what they take from the kingdom, trying to make reparations for years and years and years of slavery and labor and all of that the Tontata people had to go through. So that explains that. The only other interesting thing I can really note about this chapter 2, when Luffy is talking to the other gladiators who are kind of imprisoned, what you saw was the world of light of the winners. Doflamingo separates everyone into the obedient winners and the rebellious losers, just like the world government itself. To him, the losers are nothing but trash. Well, if you sweep the trash under the rug, of course it makes the rest of the place look nicer. And then we have that little sort of flashback thing there, and Luffy says that kind of sounds like the land where I grew up. And yeah, it takes me back to post-war, which this arc itself has made me think of the post-war arc quite a bit, especially to do with Ace, and now people being swept under the rug, like people being seen or looked down on and cast aside as trash, like the toys, the toys that are apparently broken being sent down into scrap or whatever it's called and being treated like trash. Honestly, these connections to the post-war arc are really interesting. I don't know like what kind of connection that's making to Luffy, but it must be quite important, especially since Luffy is fighting for his brother's devil fruit, and we did have, things going back to childhood, like the toys, in just, yeah, it's just so intriguing. This isn't just surface level, this is just all fighting in the Colosseum, trying to get this, that, and the other. This is more than just fighting, which is what I love in an arc. There's just so much going on that it isn't just about the fighting. I am halfway through this volume and halfway through this first part of Dressrosa, so I might leave it for tonight and continue in the morning. I don't think I'm caring a great deal about the things that are happening in the kingdom, because it feels like Alabaster again, which, I mean, I don't mind wholeheartedly because, I'm sure overtaking a kingdom happens all the time, but we did get flashbacks into Doflamingo and how he kind of sees control of the kingdom and how he set up the king too, which I'm like, I did not know that Doflamingo could control other people. I didn't realize that was his devil fruit power. Did I miss something? Because yeah, it made it look like the king had taken all of the people's money and then kind of turned him and his soldiers against the people of Dressrosa, and I didn't realize that that was Doflamingo's powers. And you know what, this entire time I was like, What is Doflamingo's powers actually? I didn't even really think about it that much, but that is probably like one of the scarier devil fruit powers, 100%. I feel like what he's able to do, you know, if he can do that with anyone, he has literally got the king and his soldiers like puppets on a string, which is exactly the type of imagery that this entire arc has presented to me, playing people like toys, which is exactly what Doflamingo's been doing this entire time. But this did add context to why people hate Rebecca so much in the Colosseum, as well as why people don't like the king or like have him favourable anymore. But this did add a whole lot more context to why people in the Colosseum hate Rebecca and why they're heckling her. I think it's going to take a lot to convince the people of Dressrosa that they're following the wrong person. I feel like a bitch now for saying I don't care too much about what happened in the past and stuff. I do care. It's very tragic. And the point was hammered even more in this chapter when you have the innocent people of Dressrosa, you know, shouting and screaming, and oh my gosh, it does tear me apart. It's awful, and especially as well with the soldiers doing this against their will, and they're killing their own people, and they don't want that to happen. They're like, just kill me, and they don't want this to happen, but they have no choice. And that is like one of the most awful things that I've read in One Piece of anything that anyone's done to another person. Well, it's up there. Obviously, it's up there. I think Ace is still, you know, what happened to him is... anyway, I will get over him, I promise, eventually. Oh, but then when you see, like, say a father holding their child amongst all of this chaos and death, it is awful. And then, yeah, we have Don Quixote Doflamingo, which honestly, I just love the sound of that name. If anything, I think Doflamingo has the coolest name in One Piece. Just like genuinely, he does, I think. Yeah? Yeah, I think he does. Don Quixote Doflamingo. Oh, it just sounds so good. And also, I'm glad that I'm starting to get more of Doflamingo now too, even though a lot of this has been flashback, because I wanted to get more of a taste of him as a person, him as a villain. And what he did, yes, it reminds me of Crocodile with Alabasta, but definitely on a worse scale. And yep, he's coming to pretend to save the day. Also, Princess Viola, who turns out to be Violet, who Sanji ran into, who I kind of do ship Sanji with, because I do want my boy to be happy. I think that would calm him down. I do. I genuinely think that would calm him down. And Violet and Sanji, I just would make an amazing pairing. She is a princess, essentially. And could you imagine, like, she makes Sanji a prince and then they can live happily ever after together? That would be so nice. And actually, isn't Sanji's alliance Mr. Prince or something like that? Is that what he said to Crocodile on Little Garden, I think it was? So could you imagine Princess Violet and Prince Sanji? Oh, you know what? That sounds quite nice. That does sound quite nice. So this is like the only kind of romance that I root for in One Piece. Again, like, take that away from me. Like, I don't really like romance subplots, but I'm fine with this. Also, the chapter ended with Bellamy finally finding Luffy. So, this progress that we've had with Bellamy, I hope that we carry that forward and he doesn't try to fight Luffy, because I'm sure he knows deep down he has no bloody chance. He has no bloody chance of winning over Luffy. But just the kind of progress that we had with him before, and when he first got that assassination request, it looked like he had doubts about it. So I'm really rooting for his character development too. Oh no, Traffy. I know I said I would never call him by his nickname that Luffy's given him, but poor Traffy, he's literally just been, well, it looks like he's been shot by Doflamingo. Like, what? But they've been having like this epic battle in this chapter, so I love that that's been kind of happening in the background, and it's ended actually in Dressrosa. Like, we finally managed to get Traffy from Greenbit into the actual place of Dressrosa, and it was about time as well. I also love the fact that this chapter also served as a base, so we had all the Straw Hats kind of connecting again to give a sort of status report, which I love. But in order to do that, we did have to have like Zoro and Kinemon get to Luffy at the stadium, which, you know, we've already talked about. But what I love, and I didn't mention before, was like how annoyed Zoro is with Luffy for not inviting him to be part of the fighting in the Colosseum. Listen, if you knew this tournament was happening, why didn't you invite me along? Like, I feel so bad for Zoro, because all this time he's been pretty much lost and hasn't had a great deal of stuff to do. So it would have been nice if he had have been invited to do it. But then again, there's only one champion. But then again, actually, if Zoro did defeat Luffy, which I don't know if that would happen. I don't know if other Straw Hats would be able to defeat other Straw Hats. Like, I don't even want to think about that. But like, if they were both in the tournament, then it would have doubled their chances. Because at the minute, it's just Luffy who is like fighting to get Ace's Devil Fruit so that nobody else can get it. But if Zoro was in there too, maybe, just maybe, it would have been a slam dunk, you know? But I don't know. I don't know if that would have actually worked. Because then it would have had to have meant that Luffy and Zoro would have had to fight. Which would be interesting now. I remember in Whiskey Peak I didn't want them to fight because that fight was just so bizarre. But considering their progress now and like how much they've changed and grown, and if it was like a fun fight between them, you know, just to fight, I guess, then I wouldn't be opposed to that. I don't think Frankie gets a whole great deal to do these days too, but I do love like his sort of speech over the phone about like standing up for the country of Dressrosa. There's a deep, deep darkness beneath this fun little country. And also to see his emotional side, where is it? You know, when he would like turn around and just like be crying, and he would do that all the time in Water 7. Maybe it was in the chapter before, but I have missed Frankie's sensitive side. So I'm glad that came out in this. And also at the very start of the chapter 2, we have Dellinger, who is stopping Bellamy from the assassination attempt on Luffy. The Don Quixote family figure that he would screw it up, so they think he's a waste of space and they're going to kill him. So I'm rooting for Bellamy against this, but I feel like the part in the previous chapter must have been some kind of flashback or a couple of chapters back when Bellamy did catch up to Luffy that I mentioned. So I wonder if that was part of a flashback and Bellamy actually beats Dellinger, because what happened there, you know, there's like a little bit of disconnect there. So this must be a bit of a flashback to before Bellamy catches up to Luffy. I am living yet again. I mean, everything's going wrong pretty much, but I love to see the strategy that was talked about between the Straw Hats and really seeing the command of Luffy as the captain, but also the teamwork of everyone else too. Oh, I got chills. I was like, this is our team. This is our Straw Hats. They've come such a long way. I'm just getting so emotional because I've just, after all this time, like, yes, I love Fishman Island, Pug Hazard, they had great teamwork there too, but like, this was like a full-on conversation. This was a full-on discussion of doing things that they have to do under these incredible circumstances, and they were under so much pressure. Each group were under so much pressure, and yet they like came together, they had solutions and resolutions and all of this, and it's just so beautiful to watch, honestly. Oh god, I loved it. So what are we talking about first? I don't know. Oh my god, when Big Mom's ship, have you seen the bloody size of it as well? When Big Mom's ship came up behind the Thousand Sunny. Oh my god, like, I mean, it's not time to fight her yet. It's not time, but also look how huge it is compared. Look, there's the Thousand Sunny right there. This tiny, tiny ship here. And I thought the Thousand Sunny was massive compared to the Going Merry, for instance. I thought, oh, we really leveled up. But what the hell? This is like another Thriller bark, essentially. I mean, maybe not as big, but it's huge. It's Big Mom's ship. And I'm just like, we're not ready for her yet. Yes, we declared war on her, but she'll wait until we are ready for her. Now is not the time. Too much is going on already. Traffy has been taken by Doffy. Doffy? I want to say Doffy. Doflamingo has taken Traffy to the palace with Fujitora, who seems to be working with him. But obviously, yeah, Doflamingo is a warlord of the sea, so they are sort of on the same side, I guess. But it meant that Zoro and Kinemon, when they tried to fight Doflamingo, it just didn't really go very far. And I do feel a bit sad because I do want Zoro to be able to get his fight on. I know that's what he's itching for. But yeah, we need to rescue Law. Well, we also need to get Ace's Devil Fruit. We need to... Well, actually, the people on the Thousand Sunny saw Nami, Chopper, Brook, Sanji, and Momonosuke. They are on the Thousand Sunny and they are being told to go to the next island, Zou. And I am glad Sanji is with them. He does say, can you give me permission to strike back at Big Mom's ship? And like everybody else on their ship, like it's just Sanji who wants to fight. It's just Sanji who wants to strike back. Everyone else is like, we're ready to go to the next island, come on. But, and they're just all in the background screaming. And Sanji's just like, yeah, I'm ready. I do sometimes forget that Sanji is like one of the most powerful in the Straw Hats. So it is really great to see this side of him because I do love this side of him so much. And then everyone else to the palace to take down Doflamingo. But does this mean that Luffy is going to try and leave the Colosseum and not get the Devil Fruit then? But I don't want that to happen. Like, I do want us to rescue Law. I do want us to take down Doflamingo, but I also want to get that Devil Fruit back. Like, it's a part of us. It is a part of us. It's a part of Ace. And I'm stressed the fuck out until we get it. I cannot accept anyone else to have it right now. Please. Okay, maybe Rebecca. Part of me doesn't want her to have it because I feel like she'll have it and we'll never see her again, essentially. And I feel like that devil fruit in that part of Ace is too important to just be given to any character who might just be part of one arc. So it needs to be someone way more important. And I'm not saying Rebecca's not important, and maybe she does come back. Maybe she is a more important person as we go on and we go to more islands. Maybe she comes with. Maybe she's another Straw Hat. I don't know. But I just need that devil fruit to be safe or be with someone who is actually going to be worthy of it. And I just don't see how anyone really is worthy of it. Ace is just too powerful. My heart was in my mouth this entire chapter. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god, I'm glad I didn't read that last night because I would have just continued reading. Wait, what? He thought who was dead? Hang on. I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, this is Luffy's reaction at the end of the chapter. I thought he died. I really, really thought he was dead. And we have 3 cut. Oh. Is it Sabo? No. He's the other brother who died back in post-war. It's up to us to continue living out his will. No, he died, didn't he? He got hit by a celestial dragon, right? And like his hat and glasses and whatever was in the water, I'm sure. The only thing I can see of him is, or whoever this is these claws. What I really remember from Sabo is that he looked a little bit like Oliver Twist. Or like Artful Dodger or something from Charles Dickens. Is Sabo alive? It would make sense because there have been ties back to post-war. I think, in my own opinion, I think there have been ties back to post-war in this arc. I don't know how I feel about that. When I read post-war and we saw that there was another brother, Ace and Sabo, because I loved Ace so much, and I still do, I thought maybe Sabo being a brother also was undermining Ace a little bit because we just lost a brother and then suddenly another one appears, which I know some people did say that was hinted at beforehand, and sure, but like the relationship between Ace and Luffy, and at least the loss that we felt when we lost his brother, was so massive. I'm a bit numb. I don't know how I feel right now. But it might not even be Sabo. It could be someone else. But I feel like he's probably the only person who would make Luffy react that way. I'm sure I'll be explained in the next chapter, so I'm going to reserve judgment right now. Sugar. Yes, please. Sugar is the one who's turned people into toys. She has an incredible devil fruit power, in my opinion. She's a girl who transforms anyone she touches into a toy. She might appear young, but it seems the fruit freezes its eater in time, never to age. I would honestly freaking love that power. I mean, the turning people into toys, I don't really care that much for, but being able to just stop aging, amazing. Essentially, they need to stop her. So I'm glad we have another sort of mini antagonist for this arc too. Also, I am loving Bartolomeo because the way that he looks after Bellamy and the way he just absolutely fangirls over Luffy, I love that. I love that so much. It's like the Straw Hats have their #1 fan here, and it's so wholesome to see, honestly, especially since he seems like such a especially since he seems like such a cool, tough guy. And I love the fact that he's looking after Bellamy too. 2 men in the ring trading fists, that makes us comrades in battle. I may be rotten, but I don't abandon a pal in need. Like, that is just so nice. I'm loving him. So Luffy is trying to escape the Colosseum. So even though, yeah, I love the fact that he's trying to get his brother's devil fruit back, but you just see my crew's life is more important than that. And I always love that Luffy will always put the people who need him now above anyone else and his own found family. Like, yes, we need Ace's devil fruit power back, but we don't want to sacrifice our own people and the people he loves now, you know? So I love that he still has that kind of thing inside him. But is that Sabo? Is Sabo not dead? We have a series where people survive nuclear blasts, and yet we have Ace who gets punched through the body and dies, and we have another resurrection. I mean, yes, we didn't see his body. Oh, I should have known. I should have known. Until we see a dead carcass, we can't assume that anyone is dead. Oh, I'm such a fool. Anyway, I finished volume 73, on to volume 74, and Sabo isn't on the cover of here, so it might not even be him. Okay, absolutely nothing about Luffy or potentially Sabo in this chapter. It was really just mostly Robin and Usopp with the Tontata people. They've managed to find some kind of port. Yeah, it looks like a gigantic port town. And I believe they're here to save as many people as they possibly can, which is cool. I do like seeing Robin and Usopp working together because they're a pairing that you never really see that often working together. I would have loved to have seen Robin and Law more. I feel like those two have this incredible chemistry together. I think because they have such similar senses of humor, but alas, Law has been kidnapped. We do learn the kind of hierarchy of the Don Quixote family and more so who belongs in it. So that was nice to have that little touching moment too, just so that I'm not getting too lost in who is in this family, since it seems like almost everyone is in this family at this point. Also loving that Frankie is getting some time to shine, and especially on his own too. He has come to one of the entrances to the toy house and he's gonna wreak havoc against Senor Pink. He's just awful and honestly really creepy. The way he just like takes off someone's bra, I guess starts eating it and then throws it away. He's just disgusting. He's like dressed as one big huge baby. And I'm really repulsed. I'm so repulsed by him. But our amazing Frankie is going to be hopefully taking all of these people down by himself. So we will hopefully see Frankie's immense power and what he can do after 2 years. But I need to go back to this whole Sabo thing because I'm still not 100% convinced. Okay, we're back at the Colosseum, but I still don't know who the hell Luffy is looking at. Glad the fight for Block D, or like the Block D gladiators, have finished fighting. But something happened that we didn't actually get to see, really. Something knocked everyone out. All the mighty survivors left in Block D have fallen to the ground. None are left standing. Can this truly be happening? However, no, wait, someone's rising to their feet. Who? Who? So who was the last one standing? Please let it be Rebecca. Please. We did just have quite a lot of flashback to her training with her father slash toy soldier person. And it would be such a shame to have that in that build-up for Rebecca, for her then to be eliminated now. But then again, maybe Order might be going against the grain here by having her be one of the people who were knocked out. But then who? Who won? She is the only person I really wanted to win. Oh no, actually Cavendish as well, actually. Cavendish and Rebecca. Damn it. Damn it, my heart's invested in both of them at the minute. The Tonteta people are actually like super strong. I didn't realise just how strong they are. They can be very useful as well, especially since they strip them down to their skivvies so that Usopp and Robin can dress up as the Don Quixote family members and blend in. Although I love how disapproving Robin is of Usopp. You know, like she's just looking at him like, are you really doing this? He's lying left, right, and centre, and they're just like gullible enough to fall for it. And it's one of the reasons why I like Usopp so much. Again, I don't approve of lying and stuff like that, but I don't know why, but I approve when it comes to Usopp. Okay, right, let's just get back to Luffy, because I need to know, come on. It's been, what, 3 chapters now? Come on. What the hell happened at the Colosseum? Who was the one who was alive? Come on. I mean, this is genius on Oda's part, because it's making me want to continue reading, because I need to find out who that was. I do have that inkling that it's Sabo. It hasn't been confirmed. It's just hinted at. I need confirmation. It's a bit like, you know, how when someone dies, you have to have that confirmation that they're actually dead. Well, it's the same thing with the people who are alive after they're supposed to be dead. I'm just like, come on. Come on. So, like, some time must have passed. We're not seeing exactly what the hell happened there. We'll probably get that in a flashback in like 50 chapters time, because Luffy, Kinemon and Zoro are on their way into the palace and Violet is going to help them, which is great. I love the fact that Violet's helping them because I do quite like her. Like, she's a very great area for me, especially when we first met her. I wasn't sure what to feel, but now that she's actually helping and that we know more about her and her past, her family, and what she's doing for the Don Quixote family, she's just a very complex person. Poor Trafalgar Law though. Ugh. I hate seeing him all beaten up and passed out too. Oh, and I was right. I was right about Rebecca. Rebecca's the one who stood up at the end. So Rebecca won Block D. Okay, so that's 3 times I predicted the winner. I was right. I feel bad for her because, yeah, again, everyone's still like, I demand an investigation, screw this. She can't get off easy, can she? But also very interesting to note about Cavendish, who, when he falls asleep, this sort of alter ego, almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, called like an alternate personality named Hakuba. Hakuba comes out when Cavendish is asleep. So that explains some of the crazy stuff that happened that we didn't get to see. But yeah, at least Rebecca came out on top because that was the one thing that I was hoping for. And that lasted a long time, but I'm so glad we didn't focus on the fighting in the Colosseum for that last battle between like Block D. I'm glad it was just kind of sprinkled in through the last dozen or so chapters, maybe less than that, because that would have made it extremely boring to read, especially since we already saw a lot of the Colosseum fighting when we watched Luffy win his round. So we have Jesus Burgess, Bartolomeo, we have Luffy, and we have Rebecca. So it's those four in the final round. But Luffy has left the Colosseum, and so what's going to happen now? Will it just be Rebecca, Bartolomeo, and Burgess? So has Luffy kind of given up his spot? Or Lucy, I should say, Lucy. In the explanations now, there's like so many holes that I know Oda's doing on purpose to make us more intrigued so that we do get the answer a couple of chapters later. Come on, just tell me now. Okay, if that is Sabo, where has he been all this time? Where was he when Ace needed him? Where was he when Luffy needed him? I'm sure we'll get all the explanations soon, but I'm just like... I'm so conflicted. I want to be happy. This means that Luffy does have a brother again, which, you know, obviously Luffy would be so overjoyed at, to know that Sabo is still alive after all this time. But like, where has he been? And I think he's taken Luffy's place as Lucy in the tournament, so Sabo could end up getting it then. And he is a brother of Ace and Luffy, so it would make sense that, wouldn't it? There was these ties to brotherhood earlier on too. It's got to be Sabo. It can't be anybody else. So we'll find out as well if Sabo's worthy of this devil fruit by fighting for it. I guess I'm so conflicted. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know how I'm feeling right now. It's just so hard not to see Sabo as a replacement for Ace. You know what I mean? I might be totally missing the mark there, but that's just how it felt. As soon as we lost Ace, Sabo came into the picture in the post-war arc, and I just don't know if I love that development. I don't know if I love... We're gonna find out. Frankie and that big baby, awful senor, whatever his face was. I honestly need Frankie to take him down because he's just creepy. He's honestly just creeping me out. He's up there right now with Carabao. I mean, maybe Carabao a bit higher because he is like a literal swamp. But this guy... come on. Oh, if it is Sabo actually who's like taking over as Lucy, when that comes out, because everyone's thinking he's Straw Hat Luffy, this could also protect Luffy's identity, couldn't it? Because if people are assuming it's Luffy and then it turns out to be Sabo, then everyone's going to be like, oh, so it wasn't Luffy. And I also love the fact that Bartolomeo is protecting this secret, whatever it is, because Rebecca's about to approach him and then Bartolomeo is like, hey, you don't get to talk to the... And then Sabo or whoever it is cuts him off. So it's almost like he's a little bodyguard for Lucy right now. So does that mean he's going to end up throwing the tournament? Or if he does end up winning, I think he would just give it over to Sabo, Luffy, Lucy. He would just give it over. But I need this unmasking because it's driving me crazy. For once I'm on Doflamingo's side, what the hell is going on? Also, Luffy keeps calling him Mingo, but my brain, every single time I read that word, I think Minjo, and I don't think that's correct. That stone monster that comes out looks incredible. I love the way it just came out from the stone wall. Just here, like, that's quite a scary kind of visual. And I'm glad as well because it means that we do have another obstacle and it means we get to some more fighting, hopefully with Zoro. I forgot to mention as well that Diamante is also fighting in the final round with Rebecca, Lucy, Bartolomeo, and Burgess. So it's a free-for-all for this fruit between the five of them. And honestly, I will be glad when all of that's over and we just get that bloody devil fruit. This is stressful. This is just like in Marineford when we were like racing to save Ace. We are racing now to save his devil fruit. Obviously not to the same extent as Marineford, but like it's getting there. Especially since we have that added element of... And you guys are probably shaking your head like, come on, Gavin, Charlie, you know. And I feel like I do know. I feel like I do know it's Sabo, but I just need to say it to actually believe it. Ew, what is Oda's fascination with making these really gross characters recently? Treball? Seriously, have you seen him? I got boogers too, hanging ropes. Ugh. I love that Sugar says gross, die. Yes. I can't believe I'm rooting for Sugar. They're gonna give Sugar this like really hot grape thing in the hopes that it works. but I don't know if their plan is going to go that smoothly. But it was honestly chilling when Cavendish got turned into a toy. When you see just how easy it is and how much they have to do what they're told to do by the family as well, and the fact that no one will remember them too, that is messed up on a huge scale. This is human trafficking, essentially. And we had that with like the children in Punk Hazard too. These awful atrocities. You really do see the worst in human nature in the Punk Hazard arc, but even more so in Dressrosa so far. Like, these are the worst kinds of people that you could ever meet, really. Taking away somebody else's control and consent, and this is exactly, I think, what the biggest themes of this arc are, and especially with Doflamingo's powers tied into that. It's very interesting to read. I'm kind of scared now in case one of the Straw Hats get turned into a toy, and we have Usopp and Robin, who are the ones that are there, who are the closest to Sugar. So if one of them get turned into a toy, I'm going to be really, really upset. And just like the fighting in the Colosseum still going on, they realise that Lucy's fighting style isn't the same as before, so it might not be Luffy who they were thinking of, so that might become a detriment to the plan. But no, Lucy is holding their own. Sabo is holding their own. Yeah, it was super obvious that the plan with Robin and Usopp and the Tontatas would fall apart instantly. I'm not surprised at that, but I did like the fact that we did get to see the Smile Factory for the first time, and also what they are doing to the Tontatas to keep them working for them by manipulating them, telling them lies about Princess Moncherie, I think her name was. So they're saying that these artificial devil fruits will cure her. They're lying. I do need Usopp though. I know I've said as well, like, I don't mind Usopp being a bit of a coward every now and then, but like, he needs to step up now. Like, the plan's gone totally awry. He needs to step up now. He needs to do something. I love that Robin took Trouble away. Trouble took him away from Sugar to separate them. I love the way she acted, pretending to be on his side. That was good acting on Robin's part. And if it wasn't for Usopp's team kind of failing the plan, then she would have gotten away with that. Sad to see a lot of the Tontatas actually get turned into little bears by Sugar. Sugar is actually kind of a good 4 right now. I do quite like it. Definitely more than that Treble. He is disgusting. Oh my gosh, I was not expecting all of these revelations about the toy soldier who is Rebecca's dad, but is also Kairos. And Kairos is that statue. I might have mentioned it in this video, I might not have. Can't remember now. But Kairos was that statue we saw in Dressrosa, a sort of myth. And even Rebecca says at a point when she's shouting at the toy soldier that that statue is just a myth. It doesn't mean anything. It was just like the hopes of warriors to build the ideal image of a warrior, kind of to give people hope. But now actually it seems like, should I start calling him Kairos? I will. I'll start calling him Kairos because Toy Soldier probably doesn't tell you exactly who I actually mean. But yeah, it was also the first toy that Sugar made, but she forgot the contract, so that's why he remembers things. And actually when I started this chapter, I was thinking, is this not a big plot hole? How like he can remember things but other people can't? Like, why is he the only person who can remember? And then it was instantly explained. I was like, oh, there you go, Order. Stitching up that plot hole right there. And I did feel really bad for him as well when Rebecca was shouting at him, saying you're just a one-legged toy. I mean, she doesn't mean it, and she does say, I was just scared for you, I didn't want you to die. But you know, there's just so much on this like little toy's shoulders. And even the Tontata people are looking up to him, and he is their beacon of hope too. And if it wasn't for him, then they wouldn't know about all of this. In all of this and the other. Like, he is really important. More important than I gave him credit for when we started this arc. I did think he was just a toy soldier, but obviously he's more than that. I think Usopp might stand up now. I think he might actually do something. Leo is badly hurt, and it looks like there is a look of determination on Usopp's face. So hopefully this does inspire Usopp to be that warrior he's been wanting to be. So come on, Usopp, step your game up. Treble's also throwing things and destroying loads of things. And in the words of Taylor Swift, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. That is the kind of joke that Brooke would be proud of. Don't tell me Usopp's gonna piss me right off. I totally get that he has to be different to the other Straw Hats. He has to be the one who's the more scared, the more cowardly one. But like, why is he running away at the end? Is there some... I don't want to write him off just now, because, like, Robin's just been turned into a freaking toy, what? There's so many people counting on him to pull through, so I think maybe he's running away because he knows he can't do anything right there. So the knowledge that he's gained, he can do something about it? I don't know. I don't believe that Usopp will revert back to being that much of a coward. Like, yes, he's still cowardly, but come on, he can still stand up for himself. He can still stand up for his friends. He's shown that a good few times. Or has his entire development just gone down the drain? I don't want to say everything I'm thinking of it right now because I'm just going to probably eat my own words in the next chapter, potentially. But Usopp, you can't be letting me down right now. We've had this plan and I feel like it's kind of gone to shit because you're just not pulling your own weight. I get that you're fulfilling this Nolan the Liar generational thing right now with telling stories and being the liar. I'm gutted that Robin's being turned into a toy though. It seemed like she was so close to getting Sugar to eat that grape. And she was actually the most proactive between her and Usopp to do this. So without Robin in the picture now of this plan, I am definitely scared about what's going to happen there because I don't fully trust Usopp to do the right thing right now, which I hate saying about a Straw Hat. Oh my god, Kinemon disguised as Doflamingo was hilarious. Don Quixote Doflamingo. But I've also forgot about him for a good hot minute because, again, so many different characters at play, so many different things going on. It was very easy to forget that he's still trying to find the samurai he's been talking about since Punk Hazard. Fight is still going on in the Colosseum with Rebecca. Violet and Luffy are listening in on Doflamingo. They know Law is fine, so that's all good. But yeah, we are trickling along very slowly at this point. I don't feel like the pace is being too fast right now, but it might just be because this arc is so long, it feels like it's not going that fast. But it might also be because so many plans are going wrong. So it's literally like we're taking one step forward, two steps back in all of this. Just makes it more exciting, but I'm feeling like our progress is kind of halting. And that's kind of halting the pacing of this arc for me. But I am still really enjoying it. I feel like I definitely prefer this over Punk Hazard. I know this already. I know this already as an arc and I'm not even halfway through it yet. I mean, I only have around about 10 chapters left for this video, but like overall, I think Dressrosa is like really scratching that itch that I need a One Piece arc to do. Because that itch, it's deep inside. It's deep inside and it needs to like crawl up there and scratch it for the arc to do really well. That was like a really gross metaphor. But hey, if Oda can be gross, so can I. Getting this first thing out of the way, we did get more of Kairos's backstory. It's fine. I'm not that interested in his backstory in all honesty. Yes, it's great to see how he became this warrior in the whole beast in a cage. I like that metaphor too. That's all fine and well, but I'm not loving that part of it. I'm just not caring too much about that part of it. But what I do care about is the whole Usopp thing. So I was really starting to think I put my faith and trust in Usopp for too long. Because I back Usopp so much ever since Water 7 Enies Lobby. I have really seen him as a really complex character and I've been loving him so much. And then obviously the last chapter happened and I was like starting to get doubts. I feel like my faith is restored a bit. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I do feel like this is Usopp fighting back now because he does come back. He does come clean. He tells the Tontatas the truth. He says his name isn't Usoland. He is the terrifying sniper of the Straw Hat crew, Usopp, and I'm a pirate. He says he is no hero and it's their fault for believing him. I mean, that is a little bit nasty. Like, he does say things that are quite mean. But he does say at the end, my name is Usopp, remember that, Tontatas. And if I should die, build me a statue next to Nolan's because I'm about to become your legendary hero. So I remember back in Syrup Village, the lies that he told, can't remember her name, but I will remember. I think it began with a K maybe. The lies he told her were stories to comfort her, stories to make her believe, and just to make her dream big, essentially. And I guess that's exactly what Usopp's been doing to the Tontatas by telling them, I'm your legendary hero. Even though he was lying to them the entire time, he is now going to make this lie come true. And that's exactly what happened to the lies that he told the girl back in Syrup Village. He told her all these lies, but as we saw through the story, a lot of the lies ended up coming true. So even though we have had the lies, this is where we start to see, hopefully, I don't know if he's going to run away again, but hopefully we see Usopp make these lies come true, which is a part of Usopp that I love. I do love the fact that we get these moments where those lies become a reality. So yeah, instead of all of these words that Usopp's been telling them, let's say through his actions, him becoming the hero to them. So my faith is slightly restored, but I'm still reserving judgment because I don't know. I don't know if he's actually gonna stick to help and save them, because it was honestly heartbreaking to hear the cries of the Tontatas believing in him and crying for him. That just broke my heart. and it would have been so heartless of Usopp to have continued running. Even if he have had this other plan, it still would have come across as quite heartless. But he does come back and he does engage in battle with that gross, snotty guy. So I'm really hoping that Usopp can prove me wrong on those doubts that I had. Okay, the ending of this was actually quite funny. I always love that surprise face that we get every now and then. Like Sugar's face. It's just, oh my god, it's so funny. My heart sank for a moment because I thought, oh, Usopp's been taken out. He's not going to be able to save them. But the fact that Sugar put that grape in Usopp's mouth, the one that was supposed to be like super, super hot, that's a terrifying reaction. But I guess that's what made Sugar pass out. Like, she's actually passed out. Like, that's what they wanted all along. So this accidental thing, I mean, Usopp is a little bit like Buggy in that regard, isn't he? Like, Buggy keeps doing things accidentally, and Usopp kind of does the same thing. So I'm glad that he stuck around. I'm glad that he actually stood up and fought, even if he did get overwhelmed. At least he didn't run away, and I'm super, super proud of him for not doing that. He had me in the first half, not gonna lie. He had me in the first half, but he's actually done it. He has actually done it. He's actually made Sugar pass out. I'm so glad. I mean, I hope he can recover from this really hot grape. It's funny, it's funny. Again, Kairos's backstory. I mean, yeah, it's fine and it's sad and it does tie into Rebecca and the fact that he couldn't save the person that he loved, who turned out to be the Princess of Dressrosa, Scarlet, and all of that. So we did get to see that. I mean, I kind of filled in the blanks of that anyway when we found out that he was Rebecca's father. So it's not like we got too new information, because a lot of this, I feel like my imagination already filled it in. It's still sad that she died the way she did. And also it was good to see how he cut off his leg and how he got turned into a toy soldier and the reason why he didn't get that contract put on him. That was interesting, but I feel like a lot of it was kind of obvious. But no, definitely the best part about this chapter was how Usopp managed to take down Sugar accidentally. And also great to see everybody cheering Usopp on as well, even the ones who were turned into toys who were against the Straw Hats before. Brilliant. So I finished volume 74 and I will be going on to volume 75. Oh my god, he's just decapitated Doflamingo. What? That is disgusting. He just took his head off. That's Kairos. He just took off Doflamingo's head. Everything has crumbled around Doflamingo right now. The title of this chapter is perfect. Dressrosa trembles. Indeed it does. Indeed it does. All the toys have been returned back to their human state, including Robin. I'm so glad. And everyone's remembering their loved ones that they've lost as a toy. And even Rebecca, she remembers, I have a father, I just remembered him now. But she's in the middle of fighting and everything, so like now it's not the time to get emotional. I'm living, because we kept getting times where it seemed like we were losing, and then finally just things have kind of come together, almost in an accidental way, again because of Usopp. But the fact that he lifts up his bloody thumb and he's like, I planned it. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. But again, I am just so glad and super proud of Usopp right now. Love that Robin is there, helping him, telling him to hang in there. But this is a whole decade of stuff that's happened in Dressrosa that's been unraveled here. So the implications of that is massive. I don't think it's the end of Doflamingo though, definitely not. But what's happening here now is, yeah, we've shaken Dressrosa to the core. So does this mean everyone's going to be out for Doflamingo? This entire country is in chaos. It's in chaos right now. And we still have this Colosseum battle that's happening. I need to know who Lucy Bloody is and move on with my life. I have no idea what the birdcage is, but it sounds intense. And judging by Law's face when he mentions it too, he looks absolutely terrified. We have much to talk about. We have much to talk about in this chapter. We finally got a face reveal. We finally unveiled who Lucy is, and I feel like it was obvious to us, of course. Sabo is definitely alive. He is alive, and he's ate the devil fruit that used to be Ace's. So I am glad the devil fruit didn't go to some random person. And because we had so many things to do with like brothers, childhood, things like that, in this arc, at least what I implemented on this arc myself, it makes sense that the devil fruit would end up going to a brother, and Sabo is Luffy's older brother. I just can't help but still feel as though he's just replacing Ace, like in every way imaginable. The devil fruit, the fact he's Luffy's older brother, The fact he was introduced right after Ace died, it just, I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I don't know if I like him. And I do appreciate the fact that he acknowledges Ace after he eats the devil fruit and says, sorry, Ace, I'm going to use your move, Fire Fist. I love the acknowledgement, and I do believe that Sabo is going to, I mean, if he makes it out of this arc alive, is going to continue to honor Ace. I genuinely do believe that. I feel like if anybody was going to get it, Sabo is definitely the perfect person for it. 100%. So I would say about 50% of me is so glad that he has it. But then a 50% part of me is like, again, just fuels that fire that he is just replacing Ace, essentially. This is just what he is and what he's doing in the story. And I don't want to think that way because I do want to really like Sabo. But I don't know if I gel with a replacement brother in the arc. And what the hell with God Usopp? What? Is that what they're calling him? The people who Usopp managed to save, they're calling him God Usopp? This is definitely reminding me of Buggy and him accidentally getting things done. And he is, follow me and I will guide you. But he actually says, fool, lower me down, unhand me. I have blood spilling down my face. Big guy, do it, you jerk. You are our savior. Show us the light. What must we do, mighty God Usopp? What? Oh, that's crazy. That is insane. As you command. Oh my gosh. I mean, he's told them to destroy the factory and rescue his little friends, so I believe they will do it. But the fact that, God, Usopp, seriously? Oh my god, he's sent from above. The light shining down on him, I couldn't... Oh god. So actually, a lot of really important things happened. Sabo's face reveal. Oh, also, actually, I did mention this about Sabo too. He is a Revolutionary Army Chief of Staff. Literally, where has he been this entire time? Where has he been? Why is it only just now that Luffy is finding out that he's alive? Did Ace know he was alive? But then why would he have the S crossed out in his tattoo? Then again, he could have got that done and then found out he was alive. Still, like, why didn't he help? Why didn't he try and save Ace? Unless he did try and he was stopped. There is part of me that's so glad because obviously Luffy's going to be really happy about this. Or he is happy about this. We just didn't really get to see that reunion just yet. Maybe we'll get another flashback to that moment. I know Ace will probably feel alive within Sabo. Like, he is honoring his memory. He's going to carry on his memory and stuff. I totally get that. I'm so mixed. I really am mixed. This honestly feels like we are gearing up towards the finale of Dressrosa. And again, we're not even halfway through yet. This birdcage thing, this kill or be killed game that Doflamingo is enacting on the entire country of Dressrosa. Oh, that is just so amazing. It's so fun. We had the Colosseum as a sort of like fighting game. I mean, it's not really a game. Yes, a game. End of the day, it seems like Doflamingo loves games. And the fact that he has put himself on the line. Yes, I'm sure a lot of you want to kill me. Well, you win if you kill me. I'm not going anywhere. Come to the palace. Take my head. But also, he has a list of names. Or like he has some bounties for you to get. The only way to survive is to seize yourself a bounty. It's sadistic. It's messed up. But this is like perfect villainy. It's so exciting. In the birdcage thing, he has put a literal birdcage around the island. It's a bit like Under the Dome, you know, by Stephen King. Or the Simpsons movie with the dome that's put over the town of Springfield. Love that a lot. So everyone's pretty much trapped inside. I did mention this, but in the previous chapter, Lord did tell Luffy not to save him. Like, they're enemies now. The alliance is over. But Luffy just completely ignores him and still tries to save him and get him free of his binds. So I love that Luffy's not giving up on Law. Luffy's chipping away at him very slowly, but I do think Law's coming around. It's pretty awesome that Doflamingo can have a sort of marionette. So the powers that Doflamingo has seem to be rather endless at the minute too, which just makes him that even more of a terrifying foe. And now the birdcage has begun, it's like, damn. I didn't think it could get any more intense or any more exciting as it is right now. Last thing I want to know actually is Robin embracing Koala and she says Sabo hack. So like she knows Sabo, which makes sense because if Sabo is part of the Revolutionary Army and that's where Robin has been for the 2-year time skip, that means she's known Luffy's brother this entire time. But did she know that he was Luffy's brother? Was that ever mentioned? I mean, surely it would have been, because she's Robin. You know, she has a huge bounty on her. So surely Sabo knew who she was and what team she was part of, what crew she was part of. So obviously I'm still confused. I'm sure I'll get all the answers I need soon. But that was the only other thing in this chapter that I wanted to mention. Robin knowing Sabo and all of that. Oh my god, I can't take this God Usopp thing seriously. And he has the highest bounty of everybody. I just stop. Stop. Yeah, Doflamingo's put out that kind of bounty list. And the fact that Luffy is only 3 stars and God Usopp is 5 stars. I love it though. I love the sheer ridiculousness of that. And the fact that everyone's just like going along with it. Even Doflamingo, and he has it on this screen. And Usopp's like, at least he doesn't know about me. And then literally, Pirate, Straw Hat Crew, God Usopp, 500 million berries. So what Doflamingo has done now is he's moved that fighting and chaos from the Colosseum into the outside world. It's like that spilled out, the fighting spilled out, and it's literally a battle royale everywhere. And I love that. It's taken what already felt like a big scale plot point of One Piece and turned it up even more. Zoro, Kairos, Frankie, Viola, Kinemon, Robin, Rebecca, Sabo, Luffy, Law, and Riku, and then finally God Usopp. Am I gonna have to start calling him God Usopp too? Like, come on, come on. I can't get over Bartolomeo's fangirling over Usopp and Robin too. It's the Enies Lobby heart shooting combo. He really is like the biggest fan. And I'm becoming a big fan of him. His excitement is just so adorable. We need to protect him now. I feel like we need to protect him at all costs. It's just his happiness at seeing the Straw Hat Crew. It's unrivaled. It is unrivaled. I thought I was happy to see them, but I ain't got nothing on this. How we're going to be able to take down Doflamingo when now it seems like the entire country is against them. Law doesn't want to kill Doflamingo because then Kaido will turn against them. His anger about the Smile Factory will be projected onto them instead of Doflamingo. So that's Law's plan, but Luffy is like, just look at this place, how could I stop now? There's definitely a bit of a conflict of interest between them. They want the same kind of goal, but it just depends on if Luffy can hold himself back. Not that Luffy ever kills anyone. I don't think Luffy's ever killed an enemy. So I probably don't have anything to worry about there. But also I don't want Doflamingo to be even remotely able to escape and continue his atrocities. I imagine Pika probably sounds hilarious in the anime, whoever voices him. Apparently he has a high-pitched voice, even though he's huge and terrifying. The high-pitched voice thing, it probably is quite funny in the anime. But yeah, we do have this giant Pika bringing havoc down on us now, so that's exciting too. Everyone's running away, it's chaos everywhere. It's great. It's great to follow along, enjoying how exciting and more fast-paced it's been getting now. Zoro, Luffy, and Law are all together and they have found trouble. Everywhere is trouble, as Zoro says. Did I hear correctly? Did Doflamingo say that he killed his own father at 10? He said something about losing his mum at 8 and then killed his father at 10. I'm like, you do that to your own father? What? I lost my mother when I was 8 and killed my father when I was 10. I'm just like, okay. But this is the kind of Doflamingo that I wanted to see from the earlier part of the arc when I thought we weren't seeing too much of him. I feel like now I'm getting the perfect amount and the little sprinkling of backstory of him when he reveals certain things. I mean, they're fucked up things, don't get me wrong, but so interesting to find out too, in such a natural way. Seeing everyone trying to repay Luffy for what he's done in Dressrosa is hilarious because he's like, no, I'm going to take down Doflamingo. No, I'm going to take down Doflamingo. I have a debt to repay. I need to do this for God. You know, it's just hilarious. I love it so much. And the fact that we have, again, this kind of ragtag team who are on their way to Doflamingo. The amount of personalities that are clashing right now, but they're all wanting the same thing for different reasons, you know, fame, glory, all of this, that, and the other. Just hilarious. I loved it when Cavendish was kind of going off on a tangent about their own fame or their own need for fame and the kind of scenario that will befall him if he's the one who takes down Doflamingo. Oh, it's just so funny. The fact that everyone is literally offering up to repay Luffy, and Luffy's like, no, don't, I need to repay Rebecca for buying me lunch. You know, it's like, he has all these allies, and yeah, he kind of does want them, but he doesn't want them to get in the way of his goal and what he needs to do. And just the fact that he even has allies after everything that's happened in the Colosseum and things. It's just incredible. Again, like Luffy's influence on other people is incredible. Same with Usopp now at the minute as well. God, Usopp, I'm never going to get over that. I'm seriously never getting over it. I did find it funny when Zoro was trying to tell Luffy off for laughing at the high-pitched voice of Pika. And he's like, Luffy, you shouldn't tease your opponents. Like, say you're laughing too, it's funny, right? And then Law has to be like, knock it off, you two. So even though Zoro does tell Luffy all the time, be serious, take this seriously and stuff like that, I love moments like this when Zoro also kind of shows his goofy side. But I hope that all of these allies that Luffy has now can take down Pika, because Pika is massive and pretty much like a whole town is punching down on another town. So it's a good job that Luffy has all these allies, a bit like when he was in Impel Down, to help him in this fight. Whereas Doflamingo is all ours. Wait, so not only did Doflamingo kill his own father, but also his younger brother, Corazon? Who is this Doflamingo person? Why is he like this? Do we get some of the Black Page's backstory for Doflamingo? Because we've had quite a lot in this arc before, like different characters, like Rebecca and such. But I really want to know more about Doflamingo and his upbringing, because you don't just kill your father and your younger brother for nothing. You know, like, where did he get twisted up? What was the catalyst of that? Are some people just born evil? Or did Doflamingo get exposed to this, especially when we think of like Holly Jones, who, by the way, in an SBS corner earlier on in this volume, we find out he has 2 penises, something I never thought I would learn. Was Doflamingo a product of everyone around him? Did he learn hatred, or was he just born with it? Like, this is going to be so interesting to find out later on if this is the case, if we do end up getting more of Doflamingo's backstory. Instead, we're just getting like told all of these things, and I would love to be shown what happened in the past with him. But Law said that Doflamingo killed someone he loved. His name was Corazon, Doflamingo's younger brother, who was the one who gave him life. So I guess that must tie back to what Law said earlier on about him wanting revenge on Doflamingo, but for someone else. So it was something like that. So that is quite huge. That's quite massive. I also forgot to mention in the previous chapter, but Musi, the bull thing from the Colosseum who got flattened, came back. And now Luffy is riding Musi. I think it's Musi. And I love, love, love that bull so much. I'm so glad, because I actually thought that Musi was dead. I'm so glad. Zoro's gonna fight Pika now. So that should hopefully be pretty epic. I've been missing epic Zoro battles. Our captain wants nothing to do with a pebble like you. You'll have to make do with me, soprano singer. Little fun fact for you all, in the SBS corner, it's revealed that Sugar's real age is 22. So she looks 10, but her actual age is 22. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, the chapter was, again, pretty good. A lot of running around. Violet is trying to get the keys to Trafalgar Law's cuffs to him. So Bartolomeo, who is honestly just the biggest fanboy, trying to get back to seeing Luffy, offers to go with her. I don't know what's going to happen there though, because there is still a lot of chaos going on. And Violet is one of the people who are wanted in the whole games thing. Love the Tontata people standing up for Usopp too, when the king was like, they're pirates, they're filthy, blah blah blah. But the Tontatas are like, he's our hero. He risked his life for our sake. And Luffy is the captain of our hero. And they're really standing up for them. And that's just like such a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love seeing that. Frankie is going to hopefully beat that guy up. The Senor Pink person. Because he just creeps me out. Too many gross people now. I have a full list of the gross ass characters in One Piece. And he's up there. He's up there. So Frankie, come on. Come on, son, I believe in you. But how we are ending this chapter and how I'm ending part 1 of the Dressrosa arc is Sabo and Fujitora coming face to face. Is it the Revolutionary Army's job to support pirates? Yeah, that's right. As a revolutionary, I forbid you to pass. No, I take that back. As a brother, oh, and whose brother might you be? So I do love that we have an ally. I will always be grateful for people on Luffy's side, no matter who they are. If they're on our side, I don't care about your history. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, essentially. But yes, it's going to take a lot more convincing for me to be fully on board with this Sabo thing and Sabo being alive again. I'm sure in part 2 I will find out what Sabo's deal is, where he's been all this time, why he didn't go to Ace, or like if he did try, then what stopped him. I have so many questions in my head right now about this whole thing, but we are just going to have to wait to find out if Sabo does end up winning me over in part 2.